Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Film Roast Podcast. My name is Jorgs.
And I'm Scotty, and we've got our hands in the air because March is over and we don't care.
Yes, March is finished, and this episode is going to be a look back on everything March in terms of film.
It was a lot of film, a lot of March.
There was a lot of January and February as well.
Yes, because movies have kept going.
Yes, but before we get into that, I want to play my song.
Peel back the curtains, set the scene, bring out the film reels and ground coffee. Elizabeth Taylor, all sugar and spice. Rambo ripping heads off cause he's not very nice. Robert Redford's running from the cops. Scarlett Johansson showing her acting chops. Samuel Jackson got that fine diction, roasting everyone in Pulp Fiction. Doc and Marty escaping through time, playing chess with the Wookiee, put your life on the line. Thelma and Louise are driving coast to coast. Why is this important? It's time for a film roast.
Yes, we're ready for a film roast. How come it's your song? Is it not our song?
Because I feel like I was the, creative driving force.
Oh,
behind
okay.
Paying somebody to do it.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's your voice. Definitely we heard in that song. Definitely.
But yes, thank you to the people who put that together. They are amazing.
Yeah, shout out to those people.
You can, I set up a link for them on one of the previous episodes. So if you want, go back and find that link and check out their stuff. They're really good. So
March. Let's go for
box
March.
office.
Woohoo!
Starting with the box office because that's the only numbers that are quantifiable, really.
Yes.
I guess. Sadly so sometimes.
Yeah, so we got the top 10. And
Yes.
first of all, we have to say, even though it's a top 10, the top, 50 to the top 6 were all around the same amount of money they made because we had a lot of movies that they didn't do terrible. It's just they didn't make lots of buck.
Yeah. Well, we're still on the most people would like to believe the tail end of this COVID thing. So a lot of films that are coming out, they're coming out in very limited release, partly because the studios haven't made as much money over the past year as they would have if COVID hadn't have happened.
There are some movies that have come out that were never originally going to come out.
Yeah. And some that shouldn't have.
Well, we'll get to that later. So this is the Australian box office
Yes.
as of March 26th. So the
Yes.
last 5 days of March that weren't included, but that doesn't matter.
Mm.
And number 10, Ni Hao Li Huan Ying, or Hello Mother.
Yes. Hello, Mother. It's a Chinese film. I don't know anything about this movie.
No, I think it's interesting that it made the top 10. That's nice.
Well, given the strong Asian community here in Australia, I'm not really surprised.
Well, I know that
which
there
is
are
great.
some cinemas that are dedicated just to Asian cinema.
Yeah.
And there's some that are dedicated just to Bollywood and others as well. So.
Yeah, we get a ton of Bollywood films here in
Yes.
Australia on regular release, which is great.
Mhm.
I myself haven't really checked any out because I'm not very familiar with Bollywood. It's like one of those things that
Yeah.
is there, but I've never.
It has to really break through to get to it. Like, I think the Bollywood version, was it Bride and Prejudice? That's
Yeah, Bride and Prejudice.
the last thing I actually saw. It was Bollywoodish.
Because my sister is a big Jane Austen fan, and so
Mhm.
we were exposed to a lot of
Yeah.
different versions of Jane Austen in our
Pride and
household.
Prejudice and Zombies.
No, not that. She hates horror.
Oh, what a shame.
Yeah, it is a shame, but fair enough.
But isn't Jane Austen just talking about the horrors of mundane life?
Well, she didn't really write that, Scotty, but
No.
okay.
That's just an interpretation.
Yes.
Art is subjective and all that.
Yeah.
So the only Asian cinema I really follow, I watch some Japanese movies now and then, live action.
Yeah.
Talking, obviously I watch animated ones too, but South Korean movies have obviously broken through a lot more.
Yes.
So if there's a South Korean movie out that's got any positive feedback, I'll go watch that. But at the same time, it's like Chinese movies. When I think of Chinese films, I usually think of The Great Wall.
Yeah. Big blockbusters attempting to capitalize on
I will say this: the Chinese
Western
version,
society.
the Chinese version of Mulan, when they did their own Mulan about 15 years ago, and it's
Yeah, it was
really
a while
good.
ago, yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Much better than any. Anyway,
Any other live action versions of Milan that we are not mentioning
not
by
mentioning.
name?
No.
Yes, so that's number 10.
Number 9.
Number 9 is The French Exit. Which who's in that, Scotty? Do you have a list there?
Do I have a list of who's in The French Exit?
Yes.
No, it's a French movie though.
Oh, no, it's not. It's not a French movie at all.
Well, who's in it then, Jordan? information prepped.
What do you mean? What do you mean? Why don't I have this information prepped?
Why don't you have it on
French
hand?
Exit is a surreal comedy directed by Azazel Jacobs, based on the novel of the same name by Patrick DeWitt, who also writes the screenplay.
Mhm.
It tells the story of a Manhattan heiress who moves to Paris with her son with the little money they have left. And it stars Michelle Pfeiffer and Lucas Hedges.
Yes, I've heard it described as a tribute to Michelle Pfeiffer's career playing characters.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Or not.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it doesn't really strike me as a film that is my cup of tea.
No, it's
And it did not have a wide release here in Australia.
and its reviews are very middling.
Yes.
So it's not a bad movie, just not
Yes.
a great movie.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it has its niche, but once again, it's like a movie that probably got to number 9 because of Michelle Pfeiffer more than anything else.
Yeah. What's next on the list?
Oh, okay. Number 8. Don't want to skip The Father. The Father. Anthony Hopkins in this Oscar-nominated tragic drama.
Tragic jam.
Tragic jam. There's a word. There's one of those portmanteaus for that tragedy and drama.
The Father. It's about a man who refuses all assistance from his daughter as he ages. So he's got issues with memory loss and all that stuff, dementia, and it also stars Olivia Colman.
Yep.
Who I think this is like a double header.
Yeah. She's also
Oh, come on, dude.
someone's just a massive Olivia Colman fan, obviously.
Yeah, obviously. Rufus Sewell is also in this.
Mhm.
And so is Mike Gaddis and Imogen Poots.
Quite the star-studded cast.
Yeah, Imogen Poots is in another film. I think she's also in the French Exit.
Oh.
I think. I can't remember. So yeah, the Father. It's also up for a bunch of Academy Awards.
Which
We're going to talk about that.
we are going to talk about.
Next month and a little bit later as well.
Yeah.
As we prep for it.
I will say this: it's come out a bit early in terms of it hasn't. There's more movies now showing this movie than there was
More
when
cinemas.
just to clarify, the movies were showing more movies. Yes.
Here in Australia, we go to the movies
Mm-hmm.
in a cinema.
Mhm.
Scotty's very confused.
Oh, I'm always confused.
Apologize.
No. But moving on, we're looking forward to actually seeing it. We haven't actually seen it yet.
No, yeah. But that's going to come in the next month's,
Yes.
because that's when the Academy Awards hits.
And we'll give you our thoughts on all the major movies.
Yes. Number 7,
The Little Things.
The Little Things. That has Denzel
Denzel,
Washington,
Jared.
Leto, and what's his name? The guy who played Freddie Mercury.
Yeah. Why is his name escaping me?
I don't know.
He's got a cool name too.
You should have Rami Malek.
Yeah, that's his name.
And it's a murder thriller mystery kind of thing that
Yeah.
really doesn't get off the ground. I
No,
feel.
it doesn't. It's one of those weird things where the performances are okay, but the plot doesn't exist.
Yeah, it's kind of like it reminded me a little bit of The Prisoner, except not as good.
Yeah, no, The Prisoner's somehow longer, but also feels shorter at the same time.
Prisoner is engaging.
Yes, exactly.
It's so interesting to watch, and all the performances, Jake Gyllenhaal,
So the performances ride the plot in that film, whereas
Hugh Jackman.
the performances just echo in this film the lack of plot.
Yeah.
I
I feel like watching Prisoner now again.
we can watch Prisoner.
I've seen it
afterwards.
like 3 or 4 times.
It
and
is a good
it's So
movie.
good. Then the next one up is The Dry, which
Dry.
came out back in January.
Yeah, this is a sign that Australian cinema. Well, we've had about 10.
To be fair, I think the reason why this is still in cinema is because it made the most money in January
Yeah,
out
and
of
then it's
all
just-
of the Australian releases.
yeah, and it kept riding it probably.
And so I reckon the producers used that money to fund it being in cinemas longer
yeah, that's
to
probably it.
get more money. Because it's like it's an okay film. It's not the best film,
Mhm.
but it's an okay film.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the reason why it's still there, which is fine. It's just not new.
No, it's weird.
It's so strange.
It's not Penguin Bloom either, because you'd think that would be the one that would have stuck around longer in my head.
Well, it didn't though, because it kind of fell off the face of the earth after
yeah,
February,
which is good.
mid-February.
It's pretty meh.
Then the next on the list is
Chaos Walking.
Chaos Walking, which is I'm not going to say anything about
Well,
this film
no,
because
well-
you're going to hear more about it later.
You are. Let's just say one thing, which we've already said.
yes.
This film wasn't originally going to get released.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's just leave it at that.
What's that other Disney film that wasn't supposed to get released that came out last year?
Oh,
The kids film, the one where the kid is insane and smart and smart. He's like an intelligent criminal and he's got all the fucking
I was thinking Boss Baby, but that's not what
what
you're
the
talking.
fuck? You know what you read the
Oh,
book.
Artemis Fowl.
There we go.
Okay, you should have just said Irish. Then I'd known exactly.
What do you mean Irish? It's not Irish, is it?
Yeah.
Nobody in the film is Irish.
No, but let's just bypass that fact that they should be Irish. But yes,
Wow.
I mean, I've gladly
Similar
forgotten
vibes, but anyway, we'll leave that for
Yeah.
for the segment we got coming up later. Another one that's made me very happy that is on this list,
that. Yeah, and so high up.
and so high up is Nomadland.
Yes, Nomadland has done really well, and I think it's because it really appeals to certain demographics.
Yeah. Frances McDormand stars in a film by Chloe Zhao
Mm-hmm.
about a woman who is basically a nomad after being displaced from the town that she used to live in,
Her
which is now
whole life.
no longer
Yeah.
in existence.
It's like her whole life was erased,
Mm.
and then she has to put herself back into a type of society.
Yeah, I love this film. It's so emotional.
It's
For
so
me,
raw.
I like in the first 15, 20 minutes,
Mhm.
I started crying.
I thought, I had the same thing where it was tough.
And it was just throughout but it wasn't like crying because this is so sad.
No,
It was crying because it was very cathartic. It was very emotionally resonant.
exactly. It
It's
has
like
this thing-
somebody is experiencing what I've experienced and it feels accurate to me.
It would really be really easy to make this really, really disillusioned on the world. It would be really make it cynical,
yeah.
really cynical.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's really raw and it's really down to earth with its characters. That's apart from
Yeah.
Frances McDormand, everyone else is playing a version of themselves in this movie.
Well, Frances McDormand and the
Oh,
the,
yes.
I can't remember his name, but yes, all of this blends documentary with narrative so well and so strongly.
Yeah.
It's almost like they've got characters who tell their life story
Mhm.
on screen, and what they've done is they've knitted this narrative with Frances McDormand in between these real stories.
Mhm.
And you've got this guy who's like it's about these nomadic travelers who are van people.
Yep.
And they travel around America to different spots.
Is it
to live.
RTR? Is that the group's name?
I think so.
Yeah.
And the guy who founded this group, he tells this really really just raw and emotional
Mhm.
story about his own family.
Yeah.
And it really hits hard. But not just that. Chloe Zhao has been able to incorporate that real story as the emotional gut punch of the third act.
Yeah, and it works parallel to what the main character is going through.
Yeah.
Similar to Promising Young Woman, this film does the same sort of thing with tone and
Yeah.
tempo of the film, where you can feel, you don't see it necessarily, but you feel the conflict and the decision making
Yeah.
of the main character by the way of the pacing of the film.
And it's an uplifting movie as well.
It is. It hits you in the gut and then gives you a big hug.
Yeah.
I love movies like this.
Yeah.
And it's so important. It's such an important movie because poverty, I think,
Mm.
and how to deal with poverty is such a big thing in the States.
Yeah.
It
Well,
is here too.
I think the Western world
Yeah.
has. I mean, we talk about first world countries and third world countries, but really, a lot of the Western world is a third world country in the guise of a first world country.
Mhm.
We have such a disparity between the richest 1% and the rest of the population.
Yeah.
That it's abhorrent.
Mhm.
That's not to discredit or to throw a lot of third world countries under the bus in terms of what they go through.
This film does the exact opposite.
Yeah.
It picks these people up and puts them on the pedestal. It's like, you can enjoy this life.
Yeah.
Life isn't, your emotional happiness is not declared by your wealth status or
Yeah.
your living habits or anything else. Any form of life can be great if you choose to make it great.
I was actually really surprised by the willing inclusion almost of Amazon in
Yeah.
this, given all of the legal shit that they're going through right
Yeah.
now. Showing, they actually filmed inside an actual Amazon factory, and I don't know how they managed to do that, because you would think Amazon would be like, no, we can't have anyone looking inside.
Well, the thing is,
Because there are some
Yeah.
things that happen in the factory.
Yeah.
Like, it's not filmed to take a dig at Amazon,
no.
but there are scenes inside the factory where you kind of get a feel of, oh, this is not a great place to work.
No.
There is, the conditions that they're working in and stuff like that are kind of like, oh, this is a bit, how did they manage to film this? Which is, again, a credit to the filmmakers for being able to
I think
find a way to do
I
that.
think Amazon's okay with it because it humanizes them to a certain degree.
Yeah.
Where I mean, you give faces.
Well, we only see
Yeah.
their workers. We never
Yes.
see the corporate face of Amazon on the floor
Yeah.
telling people what to do, which I think is also part of the reason
Yeah.
why they managed to do it. Anyway, so that's Nomadland. Highly recommend. Go watch this movie because it is still in cinemas and it probably will be until the end of next month.
It's a
/
film
this month.
that your grandparents will definitely want to see.
Well,
which is
I'm
weird.
not sure. I'm not sure because we had when I went to watch it,
Mhm.
I went in and there was about 15 other people in there,
Uh-huh.
most of them in that age
Yeah.
bracket of over 50s,
Mhm.
and 20, 30 minutes in,
Mhm.
about 12 of them left.
Really?
Yeah, they hated it, and I overheard them walking out saying, "Oh, that was stupid. Why'd we waste money on that?"
But they left 20 minutes in.
yeah.
That's weird. I've
Yeah.
never. It's weird because old people are normally people. This is very subjective. Normally, not the people who leave.
Making a judgment call.
I know. I'm
Um,
very stereotyping age groups right now.
Yeah, but also I feel like the older people here on the coast are this weird generational bracket of being very conservative, but also being quite
Poor?
judgmental,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So they were not fans of the movie, which was a shame because it's such a good film.
Yeah. It is a shame.
But yeah, go see it. It's very emotional, but it like you said, it's a gut punch, but it gives you a hug.
I'll say this: Frances McDormand is one of the few actresses still working today who have 2 wins, and the most, and lead actor.
Yeah.
The most is Katharine Hepburn with 4.
Yeah.
So if she wins this, she's only one off the most female actors ever has won.
How many has what's her face? got?
3.
Really?
She's got a lot of nominations, but she's only won 3.
What's her name?
We both know who we're talking about. Should we just not say?
Meryl Streep.
Yeah.
Yes. So that is Nomadland. Go see it. The third one on the list
Raya.
is Raya and the Last Dragon. Now we got some thoughts about this one.
Yeah.
You start this off.
I found it very by the numbers, if that makes sense.
Mm.
And it kind of reminded me of Onward to a sense, where the ending sort of defined the movie. But in
Yeah.
terms of Onward, it was the very end of the movie, where this was the final act. And
Yeah.
it felt like a setup, like you're playing dominoes. You set all the dominoes up and you push them over.
Yeah.
Which
is fine because I think
Yeah.
most films should be that. I
Yeah.
feel like the setup should be.
it just
you
you don't
know.
normally see the mechanics of the film that well. Maybe I was just too prepared for it going in.
Yeah. Well, this is if you're not familiar with this is a Disney film. It has 4 directors
Yeah.
in various stages of its production, and it had. Oh God, how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It had 9 people writing this
Yeah.
story. So they wrote the story, and then they had 2 people writing the screenplay for it.
Mhm.
This film feels like it should have been a TV show.
Mhm.
It feels like they were going to make a TV show. I reckon they probably had a 5 to 6 hour screenplay.
Yeah.
And then they were told you got to cut it down to an hour and
You see,
20 minutes.
I've seen movies like that. I've seen Kubo and the 2 Strings. Is it
Kubo and the 2 String.
I felt that movie had that sort of thing where it's jam-packed with ideas that could be expanded upon. But the whole narrative in the film worked perfectly.
Well, Kubo and the 2 Strings is way more simple
Yes.
in that it uses its time effectively
Mhm.
to like hone in on what the film is about.
Mhm.
Raya, I don't feel does that well enough
Yeah.
because the characters tend to get sidetracked by Disneyisms.
Yeah, that's
And
exactly
by
it.
that I mean, you've got a quirky character who says a funny line that in every Disney film,
Mhm.
and this character always is in that category of fun-loving, but underneath he or she has got like this mission that they need to accomplish, kind of thing. And it always like Raya has it. Uh, Inside Out has it.
Mhm.
A lot of Disney Pixar films have it, and it kind of feels like
Well, Frozen.
Raya
Aladdin,
had.
they all
Oh
have it.
yeah. Raya had a great premise,
Mhm.
and then the people who were making it were told, no, it needs to be. We need it to be Disney, so it
Yeah.
needs to have this. It needs to have that. It's kind of like, and I've heard stories about this on the Disney side of things, and there's nothing wrong with this
No, sometimes
because
it,
they've worked out
Yeah.
this
formula.
formula and they follow it, and most of the time it works.
Mhm.
However, Raya and the Last Dragon feels like it's trying to break away from the formula, and it's not allowed to.
Yeah.
Soul
Mhm.
broke away from the formula.
Yeah.
Soul is very different, and they allowed Soul to be its own thing.
But it's simple again. Soul.
Yes,
Soul.
but that's what
allowed-
I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like they do have some Disneyisms, but most of them were abandoned in favor of the story that they were trying to tell.
Or the Disney-isms were connected to the plot in an interesting way. With Soul, you had the ghost number, whatever her name was, who was that character that fit the Disney
at
mold.
first, but
at
then they
fault.
changed it.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They broke away from the mold.
Mhm.
Raya doesn't break away
No.
from the mold. It starts off with almost breaking away from the mold, but then it gets pulled back in and nailed down to whatever Disneyism it's supposed to be. There are some characters that I was like, oh man, this would have been so cool if this character's introduction was different, because it would have, like, there is a character that they find in this village that isn't supposed to be abandoned, but they find is abandoned.
Yep.
And the way in which this character is introduced is they capture the heroes and tie them up.
Mhm.
I would have liked the heroes to enter this village and get attacked by this character who is in this, moment of emotional disarray
Yeah.
because he has no family left. And through the fight, they come to this realization and understanding that he is alone. And that empathy kind of gives them this connection. Whereas in what we got shown,
Yeah.
the character kind of just agrees halfway through stringing them up. Oh yeah, no, I can help you. Like
Yeah.
it was just a weird, the weird character choices that change characters for the sake of the plot,
No,
and it doesn't work.
It had a few weird decisions where Nine Riders came through, I feel,
Yeah,
where like this would work in this sort of idea,
yeah.
and this would work in this sort of idea. But if you put them together, you got peanut butter and chocolate. It doesn't work.
And the one thing I really wanted was less explaining
Yeah.
and more seeing. Like
Uh-huh.
they had so many different areas and so many different cultural aspects to this world
Mhm.
of, the Southeast Asian cultures
Yeah.
that they had in this film. I wanted to see more of it. I want to experience more of that. And they didn't really give us that.
This film does something that a few Disney films have done recently, where I will go home and watch a different Disney movie.
Yeah.
Can you guess which movie I watched?
No idea.
Brave.
Oh, yeah. Okay, cool.
Because I felt like Brave did all the things this movie wanted to do
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And I hadn't seen it in a while. I was like, I don't know why it triggered me for Brave of all of them. But I was like, I went home and watched
No,
Brave.
it does make sense. It's
Yeah.
set in a mystical kind of
Yeah.
time period, and you've got all of these different cultures coming to it's very similar actually.
Yeah.
You've got different cultures coming to claim their prize, which in Brave is Merida,
Yeah.
but in Raya it's this last dragon
Yeah.
token egg crystal thing.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's
Thingamajig.
actually very similar.
Yeah.
And maybe that's where the Disneyisms have come from, is they've tried to fit it into the
But
Brave.
the thing is,
the
watching Brave though, is it challenges the Disney mold in a
It
sense.
does. Yeah.
Which is to say, it plays with it.
Yeah.
It takes advantage of the format of the Disneyisms and
Yeah.
uses it to make something interesting.
One thing I also have a criticism for Raya and the Last Dragon, it felt like the dialogue was written by people who have only ever written on Twitter. And that's a big problem.
That happens a lot these days.
It does, but it shouldn't, because the problem with writing dialogue as if it's on Twitter is the way in which Twitter operates, the things
Number
that
of
are
characters,
popular.
it's limited.
Well, not just that. The way in which Twitter is
Mhm.
changes on an hourly basis.
Yeah.
What is the hot topic changes on an hourly basis. What people want to talk about changes so fucking quickly. And to write in a way that is like that, the shorthand isms and stuff that they put into the dialogue for Raya
Mhm.
in 2 years is going to be outdated.
Yeah.
in 2 years, people are going to look at this film, watch it, and be like, "Oh, that's not. Why'd they choose? That's weird. That's not. That doesn't sound real."
No, it doesn't.
And they had an opportunity to kind of build everything into this world of theirs,
Mhm.
and they didn't take it.
Yeah.
They could have had a lot more culture infused into the dialogue from these different cultures, from these different people, and it would have worked better, I think.
I want to say this as well, just because it's an animated movie. I like talking about the animation.
Yeah,
Animation is beautiful, but
it's fucking gorgeous.
but it has that thing where it's all beautiful.
It's squishy.
Yeah, it gets to the stage where there's no
definition between
Yeah.
the locations almost.
yeah,
like,
and some of the moments that should be like wow are
yeah.
taken away. Like
And that feeds into what I was saying earlier,
Yeah.
where I want more time with these
Yeah.
locations because
Mhm.
these places are just
Yeah.
they're gorgeous, and I want more to take in.
I mean, let's go back to the unfortunate Mulan, where some of the set designs in that movie looked amazing.
Yeah.
but we are never really shown them
Yeah.
properly, so it doesn't matter.
Only when they become useful to the plot do we
Yeah.
get to see them, and unfortunately that's not, for me, that's not good enough. Like sometimes I feel like movies have the right, when they've got such a good location
Mhm.
or when they've got such a good setting or when they've created something so beautiful, they have the right to revel in that and just
Yeah.
take their time.
They do.
The
Fellowship of the Ring,
no, Moses,
Moses,
the Moses film,
Prince of Egypt.
Prince of Egypt.
Yes,
There are, like, it's not the best film, but there are moments where the
Still a guilty
sets that
pleasure.
they have drawn
Yeah.
and created are so fucking beautiful that they spend time on them.
Mhm.
Like there's a scene in the throne room where you have Ramesses,
Mhm.
the father, and in the background a statue of him,
Mhm.
and the faces almost match up, except the statue is so fucking
Yeah.
big.
Uh-huh.
And there is some metaphorical stuff going on there
Yeah,
with the
and cool.
storytelling,
Yep.
with the visuals.
Mhm.
That is so beautiful. I wish Raya had done more
more
of that.
visual storytelling with the environment.
Yes.
I mean, I'm thinking once again of one of my favorite movies of the last 5 years, Into the Spider-Verse.
Yep.
We may have done a podcast on that. Maybe you should go check that out. I don't know.
That's one of the first ones we did.
It is one of the very first ones we did. But that movie, the way it's animated, the
Yeah.
way it feeds into every part of the movie and its culture as well,
Yeah.
it breathes life into that movie in a way that any other format wouldn't.
Mm.
And the formatting of Raya, in my opinion, unfortunately takes away,
Yeah. Yeah.
not adds to.
I would have liked to see this as a mini series, 4 to 5 episodes, maybe half an hour to 45 minutes long. Because there are other similarities here to other media that also kind of takes away from it. Like,
Avatar: Last Airbender.
yeah, Raya and The Last Airbender, honestly, like there are moments where I was thinking, this is way too similar to Avatar.
There's some of the writing as well, dialogue writing, where it's like that's just something that Aang would say. That's something that
One of the kid,
yeah,
like the kid in this
Yeah.
movie, there's this kid who drives a boat
yeah.
who sounds very similar to Aang, who
Mhm.
acts very similar to Aang. It's almost like a carbon copy of
Yeah.
Aang, and it doesn't. Yeah, it's like, oh, you spent some time watching a lot of popular kid shows, and you've taken this from somewhere, and I know where you've taken it from.
Well, let's move on from a film that we can talk a lot about to a film
Yes.
that we're not going to talk a lot about.
Yeah.
Number 2 is Peter Rabbit 2, and I would rather bang my head against a wall than watch this film, so I haven't, and I never will.
Oh yeah, yeah. You can really tell they're trying to compete with Paddington.
I know.
and failing miserably.
Paddington is such a beauty of a movie. I mean, the second one is as well, where everything in that film is just so joyous.
yeah.
It's so
It's
child-
it's innocent and it's
Yeah,
it's
childish.
earnest.
Yeah.
It's earnest. I think that's the biggest thing. Peter Rabbit is not earnest.
No.
Peter Rabbit is clearly a cash grab. And I don't like, again, I'm not knocking the people who worked on this.
No.
I am knocking the reason why this is made.
Mhm.
It's not a good enough reason for it to be made.
It's not Beatrix
Um,
Potter either. Beatrix
no.
Potter would see this and be disgusted because
Yeah.
Beatrix Potter's characters, they are very flawed characters and very real characters, but they do not annoy the hell out of you.
Yeah, they're not shitty. They're not shitty characters.
No.
And just from the trailer alone, I was like, "Oh, you
Well,
fucking
that's it. You
kidding
see,
me?
exactly.
Jesus Christ!"
You see what it's trying to do, and it makes references to adult things
Yeah.
in a child's film that I don't think are appropriate in the ads. So it's like you assume there's more of it in the film as well.
But it's not that bothers me because I love
Yeah, no.
Simpsons is one that does it really well.
yeah, exactly.
Other Disney films do it really well.
DreamWorks movies like
Toy Story
yeah.
does it fucking brilliantly.
yeah.
The reason why it sucks is because it's so in your face, and they haven't even bothered to use creativity to kind of utilize it and hide it.
It doesn't have a
or make
character
it
of its own.
interesting.
It doesn't lend itself to a character.
Yeah,
And it's like when you watch a Winnie the Pooh movie, you expect these Winnie the Poohisms. So it's like in this Beatrix Potter movie doesn't feel like a Beatrix Potter anything.
no,
So it's like, why would I go watch it then?
Yeah.
It feels like a failure of concept.
it is. It is a failure of concept.
It's a cash grab.
Which sucks. Okay, so that's number 2. Wish it wasn't. If you were thinking about taking your kids to see Peter Rabbit, don't go see Raya. Honestly,
Yeah.
it's a better kids film.
It is a better kids film.
Um,
I'm
and,
trying to think of anything else that's coming out kids wise. I don't think there's anything else coming out.
there is, but we'll get to that later. Now the number 1 spot
The number 1.
taken by the 2 current kings of film.
The alphas. The alpha primate and the alpha lizard.
Godzilla versus Kong.
Yeah. We saw this film.
We did.
Do you
We
remember
did.
it?
We did see this film, and it is what it is.
It is what it is.
There are some very big problems with it.
Yeah. There are 3 fight scenes in this movie.
There are 3 fight
And that's what I
scenes.
like to take away from it.
Yeah, they were the best scenes. And the weird thing I found with it was, I wish they didn't do it because I think they actually worked too hard on this movie.
Yeah, no, I got the feeling as well. It's like they put too much effort into the things you didn't want to see in this film.
Yeah, because there were some great fucking scenes, and outside of the fight scenes as well. There's a scene at the center of the earth,
Yeah,
which I
that's
thought
great.
was fucking amazing.
Mhm.
They put so much good work into those scenes. And they kind of like ruined all the good stuff with trying to explain it in
Yeah.
this weird pseudo-scientific way that doesn't, like, I don't give a shit
They
about
tried
that.
to implement Alien into it. That's what I got out of it. They tried
Yeah.
to take the backgrounds of Alien and put that into the background of this movie, and you didn't need it.
Well, I don't know about that, but my biggest problem was they kept coming up with loopholes for them to jump through that they
Yeah.
didn't need to jump through.
Mechagodzilla, spoilers.
Yeah.
He does things that don't make sense, and then they over-explain other things in this film about
But
recording
also
him.
just the in quotation marks science of these big
Yes.
monsters. We didn't need any of that conversation.
No.
We just wanted them to go, well, Godzilla is crazy now. Let's go get Kong and let's have let's fight or save
Yeah.
Kong. Or, like, choose one, stick with it, simplify. That's the
reminded
biggest
me
thing. This
of-
film is so
Yeah.
complicated.
It reminded me of Jurassic World in a sense where at the end of Jurassic World, you have the team up between the raptors and the T-Rex. And it's so stupid. This film gets there.
This film is better at doing that.
It
I
is
feel.
better at doing that.
Because there's moments where you're like, okay, yeah, they're leaning into this. They don't care too much about like trying to make it real. They just want to have fun, and I love that.
Kong and Godzilla's, they make sense.
Yes.
They actually make sense. The human
Yeah.
characters, not so much.
No, the
But
human characters
Kong-
don't.
And Godzilla, they're done good in this film.
Yeah, they are. And that, I guess at the end of the day, that's
what
the point.
matters. Yeah.
I did not care for any of the human characters. I wish they'd just fuck off, because there's moments where like they got this
I
weird
like
obsession.
the girl. I kind of like the girl.
Which girl?
The dumb girl.
There's so many.
No, as in she can't.
Oh yes, the
Because
the
that-
native
yeah.
girl that
Because that gives.
was weirdly like it,
Yeah.
it felt weird that she was still dressed in her.
Yes.
um,
and let's not talk about her character
Yeah,
yet.
it's weird. But yeah, she was good. Everyone else sucked. Not actor wise, they all did phenomenal. But the characters themselves had.
In fact, there are characters in this movie that because they were in the Let's get into number 13. What's the name of the actress? The young actress.
Millie Bobby Brown.
Yeah, Millie Bobby Brown.
Yeah.
She was in this movie because she was paid to be in this movie.
Yeah.
Her character probably shouldn't have been in this movie.
No.
The whole plot arc she goes through
Yeah,
takes away from the movie, not
Yeah.
adds to it.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely. Yeah, because and they have this weird. They glorify conspiracy theorists in this movie.
Which is never a good thing to
It's
do.
uncomfortable, especially
Yeah.
given what conspiracy theorists have been bullshitting about online, QAnon, all that shit.
Well, yeah, I mean, let's talk about the rating of the Capitol. It's like kind of. This is kind of the
this
reason.
Is not. This was a bad choice in terms of putting it into the film.
it was already in the film. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
They were in post production when that was going on, so it's like they're not going.
But if they had taken it out, I don't think it would have made any difference
No,
whatsoever.
it would have added to the movie, not
Yeah,
because once again, we don't want to spend that time on that plot arc at all.
no.
I'll say this. In terms of films, popcorn movies,
Yeah,
we've seen far worse.
it is true. We have seen far worse.
And if you were going in for a popcorn movie with a whole bunch of friends, this is sort of the perfect
This
movie.
is great for a bunch of friends going in. Like, get your mates together, go grab a ton of popcorn and drinks,
We
sit
saw
down and just have fun. Because like
Yeah.
there is stuff that like they mean to be serious, but is just so fucking hilarious. It reminded me a lot of Skyscraper,
Yes.
although I enjoyed Skyscraper.
Skyscraper's
more.
better in that format. But
yeah, definitely.
we saw the trailer for the next Fast and Furious as well, and we got to say it's like maybe that's going to be a drunk movie review. I don't know.
Oh my god.
We are considering doing all of them back to back as a drunk movie review, but that might
would
kill
be-
us.
That would be great though.
Yeah.
I reckon we should.
Uh-huh.
I reckon what we should do is we should obviously watch the one in cinema first and then go back and watch all of them
hmm
and then the last one
Mhm.
or the first one. I don't really give a shit. We could do it in reverse order.
Yeah.
But whatever one we end on, we have a drinking game
Yeah, and
then straight away go into the podcast.
yeah, and there will be revelry of and headaches.
It's gonna be good.
Yeah.
But yeah, look out for that coming up because that's gonna be fun.
Okay, outside of the box office, that was the box office. We
Yeah.
did have streaming movies
We
as well.
do have streaming movies as well. I'm going to start with Coming to America, which was a very low, like it wasn't
Eddie
a huge
Murphy.
release. It was on Amazon.
There's a lot of people I know that have seen this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and good for them.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
Me neither. I have seen the first one. It's
yeah.
pretty meh, in my opinion, for an Eddie Murphy movie.
How dare you?
I know. I know.
We're going to get a lot of angry letters about that.
I just think of other films when I think of Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, it's true. That's true. I mean, this is not a film that kind of speaks to our culture, I feel. If that makes sense. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
It's weird because I get the premise in
Yeah.
terms of outsiders.
Yeah.
And classism and stuff like that, and combining it and making it funny, but
yeah.
it's not something that is like, okay, it's silly.
Yeah. I can't speak to it because it's not like I have seen it, but it's not a film that resonates with me at all.
Yeah.
But if you love it, fair enough. The next one is Cherry, starring Tom
Yep.
Holland, and was headlined and directed by the Russo brothers, I
Mhm.
believe. On Apple.
Yeah.
Has not really been well received.
No.
It feels very messy as a film. Talks about a lot of different shit and doesn't really hit the nail on the head about what it's trying to talk about.
No, but I think what it is the Russos and Tom Holland trying to break their own
Yeah,
mold.
trying to do something different,
And that's fine.
which is good.
Yeah.
I feel like more filmmakers should be
And I feel like
given the right to do that.
streaming services are the perfect place for directors to do this.
Yes,
The last film, if it's a film, is it a film?
it is a film.
it's
It's,
a
better
four-
than the. It's better than the first one,
Yes. Okay.
and it's not the worst film out of Zack Snyder that I've seen.
It's not the worst one. Yeah, it's.
I actually enjoyed it.
Okay.
I'll
Yeah,
be honest. I actually enjoyed it.
I
I was
wish it was-
pleasantly surprised because my
yeah.
expectations were so fucking
yeah, that's
low.
part of it. We're talking about the Justice League, the Snyder Cut.
Zack Snyder's Justice League. I actually really enjoyed this movie.
Why?
For multiple reasons.
Uh-huh.
Number one,
Uh-huh.
it did what Wonder Woman couldn't with Wonder Woman.
That's true.
It did her character as a character much better than the most recent Wonder Woman film that we saw. In my opinion,
That's because I had more time with her.
the fights, the fight scenes that she was involved in were way better.
Oh,
Better
yes.
set up.
Okay, I'll say this: the fight scenes regarding Wonder Woman and how she acted were really good.
Yeah.
In terms of how she was used,
They
other
made
characters
more
not so much.
sense with her character. They
Yeah.
made more sense with what she was doing, who she was, and another thing that they really did well was Cyborg's character arc.
Well, you had one.
If you've seen the original Joss Whedon cut, you know that Cyborg was not really in it at all.
No.
He kind of just showed up and did his thing and then left. And we get an inkling of his character arc with his dad being an important
Yeah.
figure in terms of resurrecting Superman and all that stuff.
Mhm.
But we don't actually get anything from that. Also, the Flash, I was way less annoyed with him during the film
Well,
as I was in the previous iteration.
The Whedonisms were coming through the Flash, and they were left out. And there was
Yeah. I'm actually really glad that this got released because before this, I was always kind of like, oh God, not another Snyder film. Like, can we give it a rest? And then this came out and we sat down and watched it and I was like, okay, All right, no, I can.
There are
I
still-
can get
yeah.
if
Okay.
Warner Brothers lets Zack Snyder do his thing,
Uh-huh.
I'm all for it.
Okay, I'll be the bad cop because I have problems. And they are
You do have
Schneiderism
problems
with the film, but they are also Schneiderism.
Yeah, tell me your problems.
So once again, there are the music parts where he literally plays a song, and that song is meant to instill emotion. It's just the song, like playing Hallelujah in another.
oh
movie.
yeah, right. I get you. So lyrical songs
Lyrical songs.
that don't actually have anything to do with the character.
And then there's drawn out moments. So I actually think the first half an hour of this movie is the best part
Yeah, that's fair.
because
It sets everything up
it
really
sets everything up, and the feel of the film is right.
Yeah.
I feel like pacing wise, after that, it goes a bit all over the place, which it has to because it has a weird plot that has to
It
go.
does, yeah.
But it's
I do feel like this. It's kind of like when Marvel did Avengers.
yeah,
They split all of their Avengers films. They got 4 Avengers films.
Yeah.
This film tries to do the first 2 Avengers films in one hit.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work because they haven't had all of those chapters in between to introduce
Mm-hmm.
us to some of the characters and their quirks and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, this is the first film that Cyborg is in,
Mhm.
which I think was a big mistake. I think he should have had a solo film before this.
yeah. There's a cyborg film in this movie that could be taken out. and
Same
then
with
be fine.
Aquaman. Aquaman
Yeah.
should have had his solo film before this. It shouldn't have been after.
And the weird thing is, you kind of for the Aquaman movie, what we need this film first, which
Yeah.
is really strange in
Yeah.
terms of.
Which sucks. I think
Yeah.
it's just bad planning.
It
on
is
the
very
production
bad
side
planning.
because you can't have because you've had Batman
Mhm.
but even Batman in this version of the universe, this
Yeah.
is his first film. Well,
Well,
second film.
Second film.
But
But he hasn't had his single film.
he hasn't had a solo film to
And
really get to know his version of the
If we're
character.
honest, Batman versus Superman isn't really a Batman film either.
No, it isn't.
It's more of a Superman film.
Yeah.
It's not. Okay.
And so
let's not
this-
get into the terrible
the-
list that is Batman versus Superman.
No,
because-
yeah. But the point I'm trying to make is the films that they have tried to make, they've tried to fast track
Yeah.
to keep up with Marvel.
Mhm.
So they see what Marvel's doing and they go, "Oh, we need to do that too. We need to quickly do that because they're way ahead of us." And unfortunately, they're trying to play to the market instead of making their own shit and having the market come to them.
Yeah.
And I see this so much in the workplace that I'm at the moment.
Mhm.
Same kind of thing. We see competitors doing stuff and we feel like we have to match them.
You counteract
Instead of
sort of-
going, you know what?
Yeah.
What are we good at? Let's do that.
Yeah.
Let's do what we're good at and then see if that works. Because the thing with market research is it only tells you what's happened. It doesn't tell you what's actually going to be successful in 2 to 5 years' time. And you can't rely on it solely. You can a little bit, but you can't solely look at it and go, yeah, that's going to define what we're going to be doing from now on. You can't do it because it doesn't work.
It's
It
like
can't work.
It's when you budget in. What I like to describe is like you budget all your resources. You can't actually ever budget all your resources because there always will be a rainy day.
Yeah.
So you have to be smart where you've got to have bad planning. What A, B, C. If you rush anything, and then you're left with nothing, which is essentially what DC Warner Bros. Have done,
Mm.
then you have to start again.
Yeah.
And-
And that's what they're doing now. They've said we're not doing Snyderverse anymore.
Yeah.
We're starting from scratch. They're recasting Batman. They're recasting Superman as well. Yeah, it's just and all of this is really because they have not known what they are doing.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they're just kind of. And I'm not saying that everyone does. Like Marvel, I'm sure
I've made mistakes.
have made mistakes, and
Yeah.
they've been through periods where they have no idea what is going to happen, what's the outcome of what we're going to be doing. And there've been moments where they've relied way too much on marketing to get shit out.
I feel like at the moment, in fact, Marvel themselves are going through a bit of a planning
What are
period.
what are we doing now? What are we going to do
Because they
next?
know what they're doing with certain projects.
Mm.
As we've got the television series, which have been amazing. WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier are both fantastic. And
Yeah.
anyone who says they aren't doesn't know what they are talking about.
I've had people complain that both of these shows don't have plot, and it's like, what?
Yeah.
What?
Well,
That doesn't make
they're the
any sense,
They're
man.
the sort of people who approve of twinner dialogue as well.
Yeah,
Anyway, but what I mean is their movies.
yeah.
We're getting Eternals and Black Widow this year, which are supposed to come out a year ago.
Yes.
What this means is after that they've got time to write properly how they're going to interweb everything together.
Yeah.
Because for the Avengers,
Well, they do. They've got the next 4 years planned out.
Yeah.
but now they're planning for the next
Yeah.
more after that, because they've got they don't have any more Iron Man.
No.
They don't really have a Captain America.
No, they don't.
Not in the sense of Steve Rogers, Chris Evans.
Yeah.
Thor is on his way out.
Mhm.
The next Thor film will most likely be one of, if not the last film that Chris Hemsworth is in regards to being Thor, playing Thor.
Yeah.
So they're kind of just, all right, now's the next risky stage of planning. We're going to see if this phase pays off. And if it does, then we'll move forward or we're going to recalibrate and do something different. But yeah.
The nice thing is they have just bought another franchise of characters to use for
Yes.
the MCU. So
They have endless opportunities.
Mhm.
And I feel like one thing that really makes this work is Kevin Feige.
Kevin Feige's got his head screwed to his body.
And not just that, but he is a comic book fan from when he was like
Yeah,
his
WandaVision and Winter Soldier prove this so much because Falcon and Winter Soldier, I mean, because they are taking elements of comics and doing it that affect the MCU perfectly.
Yeah. And I mean the best thing the best story I've ever heard about Kevin Feige is when Sony was making the
Amazing Spider-Man.
Amazing Spider-Man,
Yeah.
sorry. When they made the Amazing Spider-Man, Kevin Feige, after the first one came out and it was not great,
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Feige sent an email to the producers that were at Sony. And he said, look, I don't even want to get paid for this. But here, I'm a big Spider-Man fan. I love Spider-Man. Here are the things you could do to make this film franchise work. And he gave them so much information and so many creative choices that were his, that he was saying, I just want you guys to succeed. I just
Yeah.
want to see a good Spider-Man film. And they ignored it. And then the next thing that happened, they released the second Amazing Spider-Man, which also tanked and it flopped and it wasn't great. And then they finally went, okay, we need help. We can't do this.
Well, yeah. There's a certain producer who is after a certain thing. I think we discussed it before.
Yes, yeah. He's after the villain verse. He wants the Sinister Six to happen
Which
more
one-
than anything, which is so weird. And I understand, like, if you're a fan of something and you're in that position of power, you want it to happen, which is okay. It's I understand it.
But then take your time and do it right.
But yeah, that's what you want to do. You want to take your time and do it right. You don't want to rush things. You don't want to push things to the point where they're not going to come out good. You haven't given them enough time. And like his plan, and I'm glad people shut him down for this, but his plan was to start Spider-Man off with the Sinister Six and have the Sinister Six be the heroes in their own mind and Spider-Man as the villain role of this franchise. And that's where he was going with it. And you can't do that.
No,
like who's gonna
that's not true to your
if you're
characters.
if you're going to do that, you need to introduce those characters identifiably and human as human as you possibly can.
And I mean,
before
that was the
they
point
get
of
into
Venom,
the-
I guess. But
But that didn't work either.
that was hilarious.
I remember going in line for that movie,
Mhm.
and the guy in front of me was like, "So I've heard this film isn't that great," and the guy next to him said, "I've heard that too, but if you lower your expectations,
Yeah.
this is no exaggeration. Like
Yeah.
he said, if you lower your expectations, and I mean really lower them,
Mhm.
you'll have a good time. I think."
Well, you can choose to have a good time watching any movie,
Oh, that's so
as long as it's
good.
not boring.
That's one of the best quotes I've ever heard from anyone watching a film ever.
To be fair,
It's just
it wasn't
it
that
wasn't
boring.
just low. He didn't just say low.
Yeah.
He said, if you lower your expectations, and I mean
really
really
low.
lower them.
Yeah.
Ah, that guy, legend.
Yeah.
2016. Was it 2016 that film came out? 2016, 17, something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is I guess where DC and Marvel are at respectively.
Okay. Before we get into the next section, just to change the topic,
Yes.
way out of the way, just take a complete left turn.
Yes. left
Before
turn.
we come back with our favorite segment, I've got some trivia.
Yes, go for it.
Okay.
Hit me with that
First
notes.
First mini question is see if you can figure out
Yeah.
how these questions are all related.
Just hit me with
Okay.
those questions, buddy.
Question 1. Silence of the Lambs, One Who Flew Over the Cuckoo Nest, and It Happened One Night are the only 3 movies to win the Big 5 Oscars. But what are the Big 5 Oscars?
Ooh, good one.
The second question is Ben-Hur, Return of the King, and Titanic have all won 11 Oscars, which is the most. One movie has won 10. Do you know what that movie is? The only sequel to a Best Picture to also win. Do you know what that is? And the last question is Spielberg's Color Purple and Herbert Ross's The Turning Point both enjoy which dubious honor at the Oscars?
Excellent questions. So these are all Oscar related. If you want, try your best, guess which one's which, get those answers. We'll be giving you guys the answers at the very end of this episode. So stay tuned. And right now we're going into Drunk Reviews, where we take a look at Chaos Walking. Let's get it.
Ladies and commoners, toys and girls, it's the Film Rose Podcast's favorite segment. You know which one.
That's right, Scotty. It's Drunk Review.
Drunk Review.
I think one of us is holding our liquor better than the other.
Which one?
I'm going to let the audience decide that one.
I don't know about that. We'll just have to wait and see. And what film are we not reviewing today?
Well, it's a film that you haven't seen, but I have.
I have indeed not seen this
and
film.
it is called Chaos Walking, based on a book from a while ago. It's based on The Knife of Never Letting Go by Patrick Ness. And it stars...
I've never heard of it.
It stars Daisy Ridley, Tom Holland, Mads Mikkelsen, Damien Bashir, Cynthia Erivo, Nick Jonas, and David Oyelowo.
That is indeed a smashing cast.
It is also directed by Doug Liman, and it's produced by a lot of people, and it's written by a lot of people.
I thought this movie was never coming out. I thought this movie was covered in dust and never.
It was announced back in 2011, actually.
Yeah, it was.
And it was put on hold for a while because they couldn't get it off the ground. And then when it finally was, when production started, it was 2017. 16, 17, and then it was shelved again, and then they did reshoots in 2019, and then it was shelved again, and now it's finally coming out.
So in the great words of Drax the Destroyer, why Gamora?
I don't know. I don't think Gamora's involved with this. But yeah, so the thing with this segment, ladies and gentlemen, is one of us goes and sees a movie that we think is going to be really bad.
Not me in this case.
And what did we do last time?
Wild Mountain Time.
Wild Mountain
Please don't
Time.
let me remember.
Which honestly, I think was a better movie.
Oh no! Oh no! No! No!
But that is the premise of this Drunk Reviews, and we are doing it inside of my studio. It is currently 8:42 p.m.
This
on a
podcast
Friday
is
night.
Proudly supported by espresso martinis and jammy donuts.
Everywhere. And so I drew the short straw this week, this month, sorry.
I threw it at you.
You did kind of throw it at me. We're taking turns, really.
I gave you two options, but...
yeah, we wanted to see Cosmic Sin, but it was only out for a day in the cinema up here. And
Sinful.
And yeah, it's not a good look for the cinemas here in Australia because it is an Australian production and it stars Bruce Willis in a sci-fi kind of role. Apparently, it's terrible. I wish we had seen that because that would have been fun. Instead, we've got Chaos Walking, which is a sci-fi film about a planet that turns all the men's thoughts inside out.
Men's thoughts?
Men's thoughts.
Is this a feminist movie?
No.
Oh, no.
I wish it was. Scotty, I'm going to zip my lip and I'm going to allow you to ask me questions.
Please enlighten me because I have not seen this film.
No, you
haven't. I do not want to see this film. But I want to picture the images that you implant into my brain with your breathtaking knowledge.
Okay, well, you're going to have to ask me some questions, dude.
Where does this film begin? What is the opening scene? How does the camera scroll through? What madness descends upon ye as you sit in the cinema?
Okay, so for the first scene, we meet Tom Holland as Todd Hewitt.
Not Spider-Man.
Not Spider-Man. Remember, this is back in 2016, 17 when they started filming. So he's he's pretty skinny. He's not really buffed up.
He can still do backflips, though.
Yeah, he can still do backflips. But we meet Todd Hewitt with his little dog. He's got a little
what type of dog?
Terrier.
Oh, nice.
Cute little thing. I'm not even sure because my wife, Emily, she's read the books.
Okay, that's good.
I haven't. Apparently, the dog may or may not have had such a prominent role in the books.
Is it like
apparently. It's-
Superdog from the?
Well, we're going to get to
DC
that in a
Comics?
minute.
Oh, dear.
But Todd Hewitt, we learn pretty quickly, has no control over his thoughts. So his thoughts, like all men on this new world, this new planet that's supposed to be New Earth, pretty
Is
much.
it utopia or is it post-utopia or is it?
It's kind of okay. So old Earth is fucked. Human beings have fucked the planet beyond
so modern
recognition.
day, you know.
So modern day, and they've sent people to the new world, which kind of like it's got oxygen. People.
So
can
is Elon
survive
Musk
there.
the president in this universe?
No, he is nowhere to be seen,
That's a shame.
unfortunately. So it's not quite realistic. Elon Musk is not the god king of this new planet. I'm sure he wishes he was, but this planet has a weird quirk in that all people of the male gender or the male sex rather, they have their thoughts displayed on the outside of their brains. Now,
So that sounds like
according,
very much a quirk in the line of Heroes Academia, but it's like
yeah, it's interesting, but unfortunately, I don't think the movie really does anything with it. So we've got like it's set in this community of men, no women. All right,
it's like the opposite of Themyscira in the DC universe.
but it's led by Mads Mikkelsen's character, who's David Prentice. And the whole community is basically the Prentice community.
Before we continue, does he get a moment to go truly off the wall, Mads Mikkelsen?
Unfortunately, well, what do you call off the wall Mads Mikkelsen? Because
His beer ads.
Yes, but he's so reserved. You know what I mean?
I know, but
he's so just.
He can be that and chaos walking at the same time.
But you know what I mean? Like
I do
he's
know.
very European. Like I'm going to kill you now, Mr. Bond. He's very like so low and chill. And
But he can be high energy, low chill, if that makes sense.
Yeah, he can. I mean, we see it in the end of the Bond film that he was in. Not Quantum of Solace.
I just scratched my balls
Casino
soon.
Casino Royale.
Yeah.
Where he gets in trouble with the people that he works for. But in this, he's basically the villain. He owns this town, and you know how I said earlier how everyone's got their thoughts outside of their brain and stuff.
Yeah.
Some people have mastered it in a way that actually gives them an edge.
Okay.
Survival speaking. So they're like, in one of the first scenes,
That reminds me of Kodor 2.
Todd Hewitt has this interaction with Nick Jonas's character, who's Prentice Jr.
Prentice Jr.
Yeah,
That's
he's
very
the son.
sad
He's
name.
the son of the mayor, son of Mads Mikkelsen's character, and
Son of the
he's
villain.
a bully. So he's bullying Hewitt, and Hewitt thinks of a snake, and a snake kind of appears out of his brain and attacks the horse that Junior's riding on.
Are we going full like?
This
spirit animal here?
is in the first like 15, 20 minutes. So
Is
it's
this
pretty-
well established? Is this
No, it's not. It's very up
doesn't
in the
make
air.
visual sense?
Well, according to, and I'm not saying that this is 100% correct because she hasn't read it in a while. According to Emily, my wife, the books display this quirk with the things outside of their brains as almost just all audio. So
What?
it's so it's not visual. So the film, instead of having all audio, has made
visual.
it all visual and audio. But the
Okay.
problem with it that I have with it is they use it. So you know, in just anything that's any
I think if
film
it-
or TV
I
that's
think
really
it's
annoying.
Dark Materials.
Hold on,
That's
hold
what-
on.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
But anything that's like really fucking annoying, where they overexpose things, where the
Oh
exposition
yeah,
is just
I know
off
exactly
the wall.
what you mean.
Yeah, so that's pretty much our starting point. We get introduced to Todd Hewitt just saying what's around him. He's like, oh, look, there's trees. Oh, look, bugs. Oh, look, this.
Oh no.
And I was like, oh, throw my knife. My knife's really good. And he throws his knife at something that he wants to feed to his dog. And so he feeds it to his... And then we meet Aoleo's character.
Does any of this
fuck,
have any reason to be in the movie?
No, it doesn't. But
Okay.
let me get through this. Aaron, who is a radical preacher, is the first
Son of a
character.
preacher man.
Yeah, he meets, and he is literally the only thing he thinks about is fire and brimstone and Judgment Day. So he is like constantly surrounded by fire coming out of his
That's like
brain.
the other Tom Holland movie.
Yeah.
The other terrible one.
Yeah,
Alexander
on
Skarsgård.
Netflix, whatever it is. Yeah,
The one we've forgotten about until
yeah.
now. Why did you remind me?
But that's what I'm like. That's the first character we meet, and unfortunately, all of these characters, they're so one note. It's like,
And they're supplementary as well.
tell me what you mean by that.
pointless.
Yes, they are pointless. Well, not. Let's see. I mean, the whole film revolves around them as characters, but they don't really serve a purpose. So you've
Okay,
got Preacher
purposeless, yeah.
Guy.
Uh-huh.
You got Preacher Guy who's like saying things like, the day of destruction is at hand. People will die in a flaming fiery death.
shall occur.
Everything will die, and like that's his thing.
COVID-19.
He is fire and brimstone all the way. And there's no fucking, like, he doesn't really serve a purpose in the village. He doesn't have a church. So there's no church in the village.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a job.
So
he doesn't have a
He's
position.
the homeless guy who's standing
But
up with
he's
a Bible.
not, though. He's dressed in a nice suit. He's on a horse. He owns a horse.
What?
But this is what I'm saying. Like, he doesn't seem to serve a purpose for the whole thing. And
So
on
he's got
top of that,
So he's got characteristics that that are inconsistent even to stereotypes.
No. He's very stereotypical.
Yeah.
Preacher guy, but it doesn't he doesn't seem to have a place in the society in which he is.
Okay.
Even though he has all of this like Mads Mikkelsen's character has some sort of plan with him, like he's a piece in the puzzle or
He's
some
manipulating
bullshit.
society to
Something
keep
like
it. Okay.
well, that's another thing.
Mm-hmm.
Mads Mikkelsen's character has these abilities that doesn't make it doesn't fall in line with the quirk.
Line up the abilities for me. Hit me.
So he creates visions
Uh-huh.
that trick people into seeing things that aren't there. So, for instance, this is another thing. Daisy Ridley's character.
Yes.
There's no mystery here. This is one of the biggest problems with this. There's this thing that we've talked about on the podcast called the bomb under the table.
Yeah.
The bomb under the table is the mystery behind the film, or a scene even where something is in the scene, hidden from plain sight, that either metaphorically or physically, that will impact the outcome of the scene.
So, Inglourious Basterds
Or the film.
sort of has the perfect bomb under the table.
It does have
Well, it's
the
got
perfect
several of them.
It does.
In each scene.
But the first scene, the
Yeah.
very opening scene of Inglourious Basterds, is Hans Landa going into this French farmer's house, and we slowly learn that the bomb under the table, the first bomb under
It's
the
actually
table,
a Jew under the table.
Hold up.
Yeah.
Let me go through this,
Yeah.
okay? The first bomb under the table is the Jewish family under the table.
Yeah.
But the second bomb under the table is the fact that Hans Landa knew this all along, and he was playing with them.
And you can tell
That
yeah.
the playing with those themes is just so juicy. But here in Chaos Walking, there's no bomb under the table. We are introduced to everyone as they
Just
are,
explodes in your face.
and not just that, but everybody is explaining who they are. So we have Daisy Ridley who crash lands. And we see the whole thing. So there's no like mystery girl that suddenly shows up. Apparently that's in the books where she just kind of shows up out of nowhere and they got to figure out where she came from. And there's this nice little like moments of trying to trust each other and building
a
trust.
little mystery, a little
Yeah.
intrigue.
But here we know exactly where she's come from.
Because he's blown up in our face.
Yeah, so the thing's landed, and one of the interesting things that my wife said was the thing that Todd Hewitt notices, and this is how he finds Daisy Ridley's character in the books, is
She's attractive.
everything is noise. So everything is so. Imagine for an instant that you have terrible anxiety.
I was thinking tinnitus.
No, terrible anxiety. Everything is just overloading your senses.
Yeah.
You can't concentrate. And then you find a spot where there's nothing and it's so peaceful and it's so serene. That's the feeling that the book is going for.
Yeah.
In the movie, however, none of that is touched upon. There isn't even this feeling of chaos. Like it's just kind of like if you and me were just wandering around the street, mumbling to ourselves. That's their version of what chaos in quotation marks is.
Chaos walking is life. Life is chaos walking, and then a moment of clarity and peace enters, which doesn't happen in the movie.
Yeah, and because the reason why it's peaceful and non-chaotic is because she doesn't emanate any of the ideas outside of her brain.
She's quiet.
She's quiet. There's nothing outside of that head of hers. And so for him, that becomes the most interesting thing about her.
Yeah, that was interesting.
In the movie, the most interesting thing about her is that she's got boobs and hair that's longer than her ears.
That's a shame.
That's it.
And a vagina.
And a vagina. Because he's constantly like, girl, oh, there's a girl. Oh, long hair. Oh, pretty face. Oh, girl. Oh, okay. It's so...
This is annoying because I can see clearly in my head
Yeah.
perfect visual storytelling for this.
Yeah.
And then you've basically said they don't do that.
No, they don't. They don't do it at all. It's so muddied and boring.
It's like you've read his Dark Materials series.
Yes.
With the demons, you've got these animals outside the things, and you can interact, and they interact with each other, and then you've got this perfect thing in the first book, and it's part of them, and it's not part of them, and it's kind of interesting, and it's perfectly visual, and then you can screw it up. Yep. It's a screw up.
Yeah. And so...
Oh, wait, Mads Mikkelsen. Let's go back to Mads Mikkelsen.
Yeah, sure.
His plan. What's his plan?
Oh, God.
And how does it
okay.
unravel?
So, let's see if I get this right, because it is. We were talking about earlier today, before we started the podcast, how needlessly complicated so many films are, and how if they just simplified themselves, there'd be better movies for it.
And yeah, most movies, that's the biggest mistake you can make is overcomplication.
This film overcomplicates everything about it.
Okay, tell me what it was meant to do simply.
So, Mads Mikkelsen's plan is just to maintain control. Like I was saying before, he's got these abilities that make people see things that he wants them to see. He's also got something else. He's got this
animal magnetism
saying. No, he's got this saying that he says, and the more he says it in his head, like he says, I am the circle is with me. That's what he says. And so the more he says, don't say anything.
Yeah, okay.
The more he says it, the more the people around him start to say it. Okay. And the more they start to say it, the more they pay attention to him.
Yeah, okay.
Which is interesting. There's no denying that. That's an interesting
That's propaganda
character trait.
101.
Yeah.
That's actually as an idea.
It could be used as a really cool theme to explore. Mm-hmm. But it's not explored at all. It's glazed over as if, he's just got mind control powers. Yeah. And it's so dumbed down that it doesn't make... And then when they find this girl, their first instinct is to capture her and basically interrogate her, ask her where she's from.
They're not going to make her a,
She says that she's from the Second Fleet from Earth, which is true. She's from the Second Fleet from Earth, ready to colonize or help recolonize the planet.
Oh, dear.
And she's been sent there to... See, this is not where... Like, it's alluded to, but it's not alluded to, you know what I mean? Like, it's I'm 14 and this is deep kind of bullshit.
Well,
where you've got Jonas, who comes in and, the way he's acting is if, like, I'm going to make you mine kind of bullshit.
So it's the old YA thing of talking about sexual attraction without talking about sex.
But then he gets sidetracked by a weapon of hers, and he presses a button, and everything goes haywire, and she escapes.
Dangerous.
And then what? So his plan, Mads Mikkelsen's plan, which doesn't make any sense, is to convince his men that the colony that has all the technology, all of the food, all of the, the second colony that is up in space right now, waiting to hear back from Daisy Ridley and, her compatriots, who are now dead, by the way, in the crash, is to convince all of his men that they, the second unit, the second fleet, are bad guys coming to take everything from them. Which doesn't make sense because he's displayed in that same scene that he knows why they're coming.
So just to go back,
they're coming to help them, and it's not explained. His whole desire is to eradicate these people.
So this is obviously
all the food and all the
based on something. But did it make sense in the original? I kind of
in the book.
In the book,
I don't know. I don't know what I assume happens in the book is. He does want them to land, and he wants to take over and be in control. Whereas in the movie, he doesn't want them to land. He wants them to die. He wants them to just go away, which doesn't make any sense.
How does he do that? It's like
it doesn't exactly. So his whole thing is must kill the girl.
So it's a plot
has to kill the girl. Must kill the girl. And so,
well, at least it doesn't get girl pregnant, I guess, but.
Yeah. That's where I thought it could have gone.
Yeah, I was going to say it could go
and
creepy.
I was worried.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, that would have made the stakes a little bit higher, in my opinion.
I feel like that's a more interesting and logical plot.
Yeah.
As sad as that is to say.
Well, and then we learned that they're not the only colony there. There are other colonies out there that have women. And so when fucking Tom Holland and Daisy Ridley are escaping this crazy man group.
Yeah.
They run into many other colonies
The alphas.
who are, they've got ones being led by a woman, and they're just kind of like, fuck these Prentice people. If we ever catch one of them in our group, we're gonna kill them.
So is it trying to talk about tribalism? Is that what it's trying to
No,
talk about?
it's not trying to talk about.
Or
it's just-
echo chambers, or
No, I think what it is trying to do is it's trying to just make a movie.
just trying to take a thing, make
And
a thing
that's-
based on a thing.
That's the problem. It's trying to make a movie. It's not trying to say anything. It's not trying to be interesting.
Is
It's
this-
just trying
Is
to?
this a second script film?
This
Not a first script film, a second script
this
film.
feels like a synopsis film.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm not even sure if there was a script.
Okay.
If there was, I don't think they stuck to it. I think, given that they had to do reshoots because of the poor reviews when they did, screening
Yeah.
and stuff. I don't think. First of all, they had a good script to begin with. Second of all, the changes that they made did not make the film better.
So
and
to-
if it did, I'm worried about that first cut
Let's
because
go back
that's
to
really
Daisy Ridley
terrible.
because you haven't really. You've said what she does in the plot, but her character. Can you explain?
She's a nothing character.
She's a nothing character.
She only serves as a plot point.
She's a plot point character. Okay.
Yeah, she is the reason why Tom Holland leaves his village.
Mhm.
She's the only reason why Tom Holland leaves his village. Another problem with this film is there are a lot of plot holes in regards to what this quirk
Yeah.
does,
Mhm.
and the limits of it. Because Mads Mikkelsen's character seems to be impervious and he can do anything he wants with it. Like he can make people see things. There is even a moment.
Wait, do the other villages, the other communities, do they have similar things?
Yeah, they all do. All men, only men though. None of the women.
That's sexist.
There is also these aliens, which I can't remember the name of, but there's these aliens that Mads Mikkelsen and the rest of the men blame for all the women getting killed. So
Is this scapegoating?
he says, "This is the crazy thing." So he tells Tom Holland and everyone else that the women died because these group of aliens infected them. No, sorry, not infected them, slaughtered them, killed them.
Mhm.
But the official synopsis of the film says that they were infected by by either chemical warfare or like a disease that these aliens brought
But
into
yeah,
their
other
midst.
communities have women, so it's obviously
Yeah, no. I'm getting to that. Hold
okay,
on.
Okay, okay.
I'm not there yet.
Okay.
But the fact that their synopsis and the plot can't decide, like they're not
Uh-huh.
in line with each other. But then, like we figure out, obviously, Mads Mikkelsen is lying. And the only reason why he's lying is because he wants to maintain control. But the only reason why he wants to the only way he wants to maintain control is by killing Daisy Ridley, who was bringing all of this technology and all of this, food and everything
yeah.
to them, to a group of people who are struggling to like. It doesn't make any sense.
Well,
there is no reason
no,
for
the
this
thing is,
character to make this
I
decision.
can see reasons why this character would make such decisions, just not in the environment and for the reasons that you've given.
Well, that's the thing. Those are the reasons that the film is given.
Yeah, that's what I'm
So
saying.
if there was like if Daisy Ridley had come down and she had prior knowledge of this village and how
Mhm.
bad they were,
Yeah.
and he was trying to figure out if she knew, and if she like let on and gave him accidentally gave him reason to believe that she knew how bad he was,
Mhm.
then yeah, I can see why he wouldn't want them coming down and arresting his ass and killing him possibly. But there's nothing of that in there. There is
like-
no step 1, step 2, step 3.
We
It's
recently
literally
got the
step
trailer.
5.
We recently got the trailer for A Quiet Place 2, and the bomb under the table in Quiet Place 2 is other humans.
Yeah.
And how they have been changed by the post-apocalyptic environment.
The aliens coming down, yeah.
Yeah, and not all humans are good. But we don't know anything more than that. That's all we know from the trailer, which is
Yeah.
good. This is good. This is a good idea. It's a good idea. This creates tension. This conflict is everywhere, and you don't know who to trust.
Mm.
But here we're given a way out of a situation. You choose not to do it. Take that.
Obvious way out. It's so obvious.
Mhm.
It is so just in your face.
Yeah.
And it's like no even half real character wouldn't take this opportunity. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there's no you can say, "Oh, but it's just a movie." Yeah, but in order for me to understand or get behind this film,
Mhm.
the character's decisions have to make some sort of sense. Like
Yeah.
even just a modicum of sense.
Well-
but there's no sense in these decisions.
Another example is like we recently watched Kong vs. Godzilla, and that movie is 80% fluff. but at least the fluff, as terrible as it was, sort of made character sense.
Yeah, there's 20% there where the fight scenes are just fucking insanely good.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's just it is a better film than this one. Definitely.
And that
Chaos
film
Walking
is so
is
slow.
not good
Oh my
at all.
goodness.
They also do this thing where they kill off a character, and you know it's just for the sake of some sort of emotional response from the audience.
Some sort of change in the plot as well.
No
No-
change in the plot.
Oh dear.
Nothing to do with the change in the plot. No, there's no call to action for the characters after the death of this
Wild
character.
Mountain Time did that as well, but
Mm.
you sort of saw it coming,
Yeah.
and it sort of did change things, but it was like
So the
the
villain
status quo was
the
the same.
villain catches up with the group. One of the villains, David Oyelowo, catches up with the group,
Good guy.
and he kills this character while attacking the group.
Mhm.
But the death, like they were already on their way to their destination.
Oh, I see.
No character, like Tom Holland wasn't experiencing a crisis of belief. There was
Mm-hmm.
no like, should I or shouldn't I, or maybe there's a way out. No, there was nothing.
So
like,
basically
no, we're
this-
going here, and then oh, this died. Oh no,
So basically,
my
this
best
is
friend-
Fellowship of the Ring. Imagine the end of Fellowship of the Ring, the Uruk-hai attack, but instead of Boromir dying and betraying Frodo beforehand,
yeah.
he doesn't betray Frodo. He lives, and the Fellowship continues on. All 9 members. That's what you're saying happened.
No. What I'm saying happened is if we're talking about the Fellowship of the Ring,
Yeah,
the Uruk-hai attack,
yeah.
Gollum suddenly springs out of nowhere.
Uh-huh.
Gollum gets killed, and sad music plays, expecting us to care.
Oh,
But
poor
really,
Gollum.
his impact is so minimal on the characters and so
Uh-huh.
minimal on the plot that nothing really matters with his death.
Yeah, it's out of
It
left
doesn't
field.
cause any
irrelevant.
characters to reevaluate things. It doesn't cause anyone to think about anything different. It doesn't make them, it doesn't galvanize their resolve in going forward with this mission. It's just like, oh, okay, cool. It died. Let's move on. And so it doesn't make any sense. Another thing that doesn't make any sense is we are led to believe that Tom Holland has the similar ability of being able to make people see what he wants them to see
Uh-huh.
when he's focused. That's touched on twice. And in the final battle
Yeah.
with Mads Mikkelsen,
Mhm.
he has an opportunity to use it. And instead of using it in a way that makes sense,
Mhm.
he uses it in a way that makes zero sense in its entirety. So they even touched on this leading up to this scene, and I wonder if that's why if that's the reshoots, if because they're walking to this downed ship, which is the first ship that landed on the.
Because I'm trying to even picture this. It's
Yeah.
kinda hard.
Okay. So there's a ship the first ship that landed.
Yeah.
Ages ago, like 60, 70 years ago.
Okay.
It's broken down. It's in the earth. So,
Mhm.
and they
Historical
they finally got there, and the reason why they're there is to get the sensor array and send communications back up to Daisy Ridley's ship
Yeah.
to tell them to come down and save their asses because there's crazy people here.
Logical plot contrivance, but continue.
Exactly, yes. And as they're walking up, she says, "Be careful because this ship goes down for so many levels, and some of the material on the wing
Uh-huh.
is very like it could crumble away, and there's like a 70-foot drop down to the bottom. You could die." She says this
Oh,
so
no.
obviously that you think
Something's
okay,
going
this
on.
is going to be a plot. Like
Yeah.
they're going to use this
Yeah.
because that would actually be clever. There would be actually something interesting to look forward to. And I was like, okay, all right, yeah, okay, I can see this. This would be cool. Like if there's a fight and there's a threat of falling down, it'd be cool. And
It's just
so Tom, this is another plot contrivance.
Okay.
We realized that all the women were actually killed by the men
Yeah.
because they were.
I figured.
Hold on. They were sick and tired of women knowing what they were thinking and them having
Oh,
no
no.
idea what they were thinking.
No.
So the biggest plot point is that the
women were killed.
the women were put to death because they knew more than the men.
Oh dear.
And so that's the point of the.
And that's not feminist?
How incel is that?
That
You know
is
what I mean?
very incel,
It's
yeah.
so, and the fact that Tom Holland's character is always just women. There's this fucking disturbing thing that he does where he's thinking about basically making out with Daisy Ridley, and she sees it. So because she can see the visions outside of his head,
Yeah.
and this vision of her is making out with him, and it's like. What the fuck?
Yeah.
If I was her, I'd fucking beat the shit out of him. Like
Yeah.
that's just not. on. That's not appropriate. That's not
It's
cool.
not on, no.
And not just that, but there's a
And really
scene.
awkward.
There's a scene later where they get the lowdown that the bad guys are coming to kill them, and they have to leave this town
Yeah.
by tonight, and all this other shit. And they hear this noise, and they look over, and it's just Tom Holland saying, "I hope she likes me. Oh, maybe we should kiss." Oh, and then you hear like him thinking of her voice saying, "Oh, I love you, Todd. I want to marry you, Todd." And all this bullshit, and I'm like, "Oh, fuck
Can
off."
I just say, when you say
in
Todd,
the middle of
Yeah.
this important, you think that's what he would be thinking
The
about?
funny thing is-
no. He's thinking with his dick.
yeah, when you say Todd, I'm thinking of Todd Howard, the lead designer of Bethesda, and I'm just suddenly thinking like
Why?
somehow he's because the name Todd, it's so
Yeah.
it's like so unique, and I'm just thinking like all of a sudden Tom Holland's acting as Todd
Yeah.
Howard, and he's designing a computer game in his head.
That's not what's happening. But let me get back on point. So
Yeah,
the
please
whole
do,
thing
If you
is
can,
the women have been killed by the men because
Yeah.
they know too much. The
you
men
find
have
this
blamed-
funny, don't you?
I found it fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Because it is it's got incel culture written all over it.
Mhm.
But it's not. It doesn't seem self-aware that that's what it's talking about.
Yeah,
So the women have this thing, and
incel
his
among us.
mother has left this letter for him, and he
Mhm.
can't read. But Daisy Ridley can, so Daisy Ridley reads it for him, and he gets to know his mother through that, which is actually quite nice.
that's a nice
It's
touch.
nice.
Why can't he read?
He was never taught.
Why was he never taught?
Well, we assume that because of the control that Mads Mikkelsen has
Because
over
reading equals knowledge equals information.
Nazis,
blood.
dude. That's Nazis in a T. Like he's taken the Nazi playbook straight, out of Hitler's hands.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but
I
they
do know
never
what you
talk
mean.
about it. Like it's just like, oh yeah, of course. All right, I can put two and two together. But what happened was he learns about this plot to kill the women and how they went through with it, and he sees a photo of his mum.
Uh-huh.
That's the only woman that he sees.
The Whammons.
The Whammons. That's the
Yeah.
only Whammon that he sees.
His mum.
Do you understand that?
Yes.
You got that? All
Yeah.
right. Because
Oh no.
another plot point problem is when he first meets I keep thinking Ray from Star Wars.
Daisy Ridley.
Daisy Ridley. When he first sees Daisy Ridley,
Mm-hmm.
he thinks, "Girl, I've never seen a girl before. Girl. Oh, this is the first." But then later on, he has vivid memories of his
his
mother.
mum, yeah.
So how does he know what she looks
Yeah.
and sounds and acts like if he has never seen?
Well, obviously,
And
he doesn't have an Oedipus complex.
This photo is the first photo he's ever seen of her, and
Oh,
he
no.
remarks, "Was like, oh wow, she looks really beautiful. That's nice." And so we keep going. We go through
Mm-hmm.
this moment, and we get to the end where the bad guy shows up,
Mhm.
and they're having a fight. And remember how I said the only woman, like the
Yes.
photo, he's only
Yes.
seen just
her.
just his mum.
Let's get creative.
He's gotten his ass kicked by Mads Mikkelsen, who's standing over him.
Mhm.
He's saying like bullshit about how you fail at all the
Generic
whatever
villain
the
speech.
fuck. I thought he was going to use his power
Mhm.
to make the empty areas of the aeroplane
Crumble.
to be solid, and he just
Yeah.
steps through them and falls to his death.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Which I was like, okay, yeah, that'd be sick. That'd be
Mhm.
cool. It'd be unexpected. It'd be different. We'd be able to get somewhere with this. No, instead, he conjures up the image of his mother,
Mhm.
who threatens Mads Mikkelsen and blames him for her death. But then he conjures up all the women of the village,
Ones he hasn't seen.
the ones he has no idea about,
Mhm.
he has never seen in his fucking life.
Mhm.
And there's like 30, 40 of them surrounding Mads Mikkelsen and threatening him. How? How is the, where did he see these people? He hasn't seen these people.
He doesn't just
He
imagine them.
doesn't just. But Mads
He's had-
Mikkelsen recognizes
Yes,
them.
that's
What?
it's just
What is going
plot
on?
failure here.
What is going on? And that tells me that there was a scene. There's some scene somewhere that they've cut because the
Yeah.
final the final cut of this film is just shit. And they've had to go reshoot it because people didn't like it.
Reshoots are reshoots.
But I guarantee you, the reshoots didn't make any difference to this plot whatsoever.
no.
But that is the film in a oh yeah. Also, he blacks out and he wakes up a couple of days later
What?
inside.
David Oyelowo. Tell me about David Oyelowo's character.
Oh fuck! Oh my
I like David
God.
Oyelowo.
He's literally just one note,
Mhm.
piece of shit pastor type that wants
Mhm.
everything to die and burn. He ends up dying and burning actually, which
Oh,
is
that's funny.
it's kind of funny.
Appropriate.
But it's so lame
Uh-huh.
because he shows up and he starts attacking Daisy Ridley when she's trying to get the array working, the communications array. And he's choking her, and he's like, fire and brimstone, you will die this day. And
It sounds like this film has a lot of sexual innuendos in it.
there's no reason for him to want her to die, which makes it doesn't make any sense.
Uh-huh.
There's no there's no connection between him and the killing of the women from earlier. You know what I
So
mean?
is he
From
after Tom
before.
Holland then? It's like, why is he after them?
There's no reason for them to be. Also,
Is he just a racist?
funnily enough, he hates Mads Mikkelsen's character, but he sides with Mads Mikkelsen's character all the time. There's a scene between them where he says, "You are like a woman because you hide your thoughts."
So is he
And then
sexist?
hold on.
Uh-huh.
Beforehand,
Uh-huh.
his first meeting with Tom Holland, he also says, "You are a woman because you have no control over your thoughts, and we can see everything." So which is it, David? Is it more thoughts making people women or less thoughts making people women? Fucking decide.
It's-
Because this makes no fucking sense. You can't
Whatever the
say-
negative sense is.
You can't
Whatever the negative sense
you
is. of
can't
both
attack
terms.
somebody and attack another person for calling them the same thing for the complete opposite reason. It does not make any fucking sense. But anyway, his death comes because he attacks Daisy Ridley, and Daisy Ridley uses this device that she used before to start a fire. Thingamajig. Presses a button. He ignites. He goes on fire, and he says thank you. He says thank you. And
Because
he
he's out of
walks
the movie.
away. Hold up.
Uh-huh.
He walks away and he literally disappears into smoke. So within 5 seconds, there's no.
So is he dead?
Yes, he's dead, but nobody burns that. We are not that flammable.
No, we're
we
not.
are not that flammable. He just.
Boof, boof.
It's like in
Stuff
like
snap.
Thanos and the snap.
Yeah.
But at least with Thanos and the snap, that actually makes some sort of fantasy sense. You
No,
know what I mean?
I believe this scene. I actually think that wasn't on the script. I reckon David Yeller was like, "Thank you, I'm out of this movie now. I can just disappear.
I feel
can
bad for him
take my
so much
paycheck."
because he hasn't been in. I feel like I haven't seen him in so long, and it's
He's such a good actor.
He is. He's so
Yeah.
good, and to see him in this
Mm-hmm.
was so heartbreaking because his talent is way better than this. Actually, everyone in this film's talent.
Yeah,
is way
no,
better
I
than
like
this.
everyone in this movie. That I can tell that it wasn't their fault.
No, it definitely wasn't. Doug Liman directs this,
Mhm.
who he also did. He's done a bunch of really
no,
good films,
he's-
actually.
Reasonable director.
I feel like this film it didn't seem like it was planned out.
It sounds like it's missing a script or two.
Yeah. It sounds like it's missing a lot.
Uh-huh.
And it sounds like maybe they got a script that was way too long for them to work with,
Okay.
but they wanted the rights then and there. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
Fantastic Four thing.
we need the rights now
Yeah.
because if we don't have the rights now, if we don't
Fox is-
make something soon,
Mhm.
then we're going to lose the rights. And so instead of getting someone to really just sort this screenplay out, they decided let's just go into production. Let's just do it. Which happens a lot.
Yeah, it does,
I'm
it
not.
does.
People think
It's
that
so hard
this-
to make a movie.
yeah, people think that this is me or us just punching up.
Yeah.
It's not like we really want to see these movies.
We want to
succeed.
lift them up. We want to raise
We
them.
want them to
the
work
clouds.
because they can work.
yeah.
It's just unfortunate that a lot of problems happen.
We want
and
Superman to fly. We don't want Chaos Walking.
It's not easy to bring everyone together to make a film.
No, it's hard.
It's easier to make a good story, but it's
Yeah.
not easy to make a good film.
Mhm.
A lot of things have to happen for it to work. And unfortunately, not a lot of things happened for this to work.
And the characters didn't work.
No, none of them worked.
Did you have a favorite moment in the movie?
Oh God.
Something.
Yeah, actually, the
Yeah.
snake, the Tom Holland thinking up a snake to attack this dickhead, was fantastic.
Yeah.
That was actually interesting. It took me by surprise.
Was it visually
I was like,
interesting as well?
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, it was.
Okay, because that's like from what you said earlier. It's like that's what you want from the movie is like
Yeah.
these interesting visuals, using the meta aspects of the movie to manipulate how it looks.
But see, I saw this as more of it could have been more like A Quiet Place. So in
Yeah,
The
I
Quiet
think
Place,
that
but
too.
the opposite.
Uh-huh.
Whereas there's a lot
Loud
of noise.
place.
You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of noise and there's very few and you can identify. Oh, she's a dead spot, which means there's peace and tranquility
Yeah.
around her, and there's there's such a more intrinsic value to that than just she's got boobs, she's a girl, she's got
Yeah.
long hair. It's like, no, you're a source of peace for me.
Yeah.
I can find, like, I can think around you. I can be
And especially
myself
because you've
around
explained
you.
that the rest, like the source material suggests that as well.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, we've all been in the city and we've had the sound, the noise, the lights, the conversations that mean nothing that are constantly going on. And then all of a sudden you get home, you're alone or you're with someone you appreciate. And then you can be yourself for a sec. And then it's like, everything's okay.
Yeah, it's quiet time. You know, you can chill.
With your dog
Yeah.
or your cat, your pet, your goldfish. I don't care.
Whatever your tranquility is. Like, and that I feel is what the book was about.
Mm.
The film does not understand that. It
No.
doesn't get that. It's
But
completely
it's such a
missed that
simple
point.
theme.
It is.
Oh, man.
It is. And like you and I picked it up from what M told me. I haven't even
Yeah,
read
no,
the synopsis or read
I
the
can
book.
visualize that so clearly
Yeah.
based off the rubbish that you've espoused to me.
But yeah, it's such a sad thing when it doesn't work out. And unfortunately, this has put a massive dent in the budget for the production company because they made this off of It took $100 million to make this.
What?
And it's only taken back 15 million worldwide.
Well, as I said, I was pretty certain this wasn't even going to come out. I thought this was
Yeah.
a waste. This was something that was like collapsed into the abyss beneath the earth because it
Yeah.
was so hated by the studio. Like I thought the studio itself never wanted this to see the light of day.
Well, I don't think they did, to be honest.
Uh-huh.
I think that the reshoots were a last ditch effort to try and make back the money that they spent on this.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't release a film, you don't get
Anything back.
it's not a tax write-off. You know what I
No,
mean? Like
yeah.
you can't get anything back from that. So you have to release it.
Mm-hmm.
Unless, you know, I mean, if you make something for like $10 million as a studio, you can basically just palm that off and go, whatever, who gives a fuck? We can bench that. We don't need to make that. But as for $100 million, like, yes, that's chump change for most studios, but at the same time, you don't want to lose $100 million.
No.
You want to make at least something back off that, because that's a big loss. Like, that's a massive loss for a studio to make. Which also probably didn't help when it came to the marketing of this movie, because I'll be honest, this film, aside from reading about it on like film review websites,
Yeah.
like a couple of years ago when production started,
Oh yeah, no, I remember.
this film was not
Marketed.
well marketed
was-
at all.
The funny thing is though, it's like everyone I've talked to knows about this film, even
Yeah.
though it hasn't been marketed, because Tom Holland, Daisy Ridley,
Yeah, big stars.
they're big stars.
Yeah.
Mads Mikkelsen, David Oyelowo, like
When they got when they got contracted to this film, they were kind of in their star infancy. If that makes
yeah,
sense.
exactly.
Tom Holland had just gotten Spider-Man.
Hadn't come out yet.
Daisy Ridley had just finished shooting the second Star Wars film,
Yeah.
I think, that she was in. And so they were kind of in their stardom infancy, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yet to be really fully pushed on a
A star
world
was
stage.
born.
And so, yeah, they kind of got lucky with the casting. But yeah, it's just, it's a sad, yeah.
Okay, did the so with the characters overall was there interesting things to them? Can you sum them up in 2 words? That's what I'm kind of like. Tom Holland's character, Todd.
Yeah, needy and boring.
Daisy Ridley.
Nothing and plot point.
So she's a
Can we make plot point just
catalyst.
one
Yeah, we can make catalyst one
word?
word. And Mads Mikkelsen,
Yeah. Generic villain.
generic villain. That's
Yeah.
easy. David Oyelowo, Fire and Brimstone, I guess.
Generic preacher.
Generic preacher.
Yeah.
Dear. Oh my.
Yeah.
Um,
Preacher is an aggressive. That's the
Yeah, yeah.
aggressive version of pastor. Like that's
preacher.
a,
Yeah, because you've been
yeah.
preached at.
Oh, I'm gonna kill.
I'm just going to talk to you.
God's
talk
gonna
down.
kill ya.
I'm going to talk down to you.
There's gonna be fire coming from heaven.
If you don't change,
you're gonna all die.
if you don't change your ways.
If you don't stop sinning. But even if you do stop sinning, you'll probably die anyway.
And the final question, Jordan.
Eh.
How did this make you feel?
Sad and annoyed.
So you sat on the couch, you put back, you thought through
So
this film.
I watched the film,
Mhm.
and on my way back home with Emily, because we watched it together,
Mhm.
I said, I can't believe that they did this.
Mhm.
I can't believe that they just don't care.
I mean, I hadn't seen it. I thought, I can't believe they got this released. But
Yeah.
yeah.
I can't believe that and not just for for the viewers' sake, but
Mhm.
like I'm thinking of the CGI artists, the people
Oh,
on the
no.
production staff, the people who came in every day, the gaffer, the sound
Mhm.
guy, the cameraman,
Because a lot of people put a lot of effort into making a
even
movie.
the runners. Like these
Uh-huh.
people put so much effort into a film that got fucked over on release, and it's just so sad because yes, they got paid,
Mhm.
but this film, it it goes on their resume.
Yeah, no.
And
I worked
it
on Chaos
impacts
Walking.
it impacts how they will get hired in future. And really, the fact that this film is a bad movie should have no bearing on their
No,
ability
it
to get
should never
hired.
because a bad movie doesn't happen because of one person. It never does.
It doesn't even happen for a group of people.
No.
Often it's just either bad timing or one like a group of producers that have misread or misunderstood a source material.
Timing issues can be a massive part of it.
Yeah, there's so many elements that happen to make a film successful, and I don't think a bad film should reflect poorly on the people who worked on it.
Yeah.
Like I'm still going to see a Doug Liman film
Yeah.
when it comes
I
out
like Doug
in the
Liman.
future. He's good. I'm still going to see Tom Holland and Daisy Ridley in movies.
Yeah.
It's not
I
going to
love Vance
affect
Mikkelsen.
how
I
I view
love
it.
David Gilliwell.
I used to be such a dick about this kind of shit, like
Uh-huh.
a couple of years ago, even last year.
Six
But now
months
I'm
ago.
kind of just like, oh, fucking, like, it's a bad movie. Who gives a fuck? Like,
I'll give it a chance. Like we're willing to sit through the 4-hour Justice League because we'll give it a chance. You know,
You're going to be hearing a lot about that either before this segment or after this segment. I can't remember what we're going to do.
depending. One of our other fantastic Filmers podcast segments.
Yes.
But yeah, we're probably after this, to be honest, because we're gonna have a lot to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah, we will.
We've talked a lot today. In fact, you've heard us talk even more than you've actually heard us today.
Yeah.
If that makes sense,
It
because
does not make sense.
time
but you
is
are
a part of it.
drunk. So there's that.
This has been the drunk review of
Yes.
Chaos Walking.
Take
I
it
will
back
never
to
see it.
take it back to the studio. Let's go back to the studio.
I need a
Let's-
drink.
Yeah, let's do that.
Are you sobered up yet?
No, I'm
Okay.
still very, very not sober.
Yeah, thanks to the that movie. Oh wow, I'm glad I did not see Chaos Walking.
Yeah, it was something else. It was something else. All right. Well, that was most of our podcast.
Mhm.
Now we're just going to talk about what we're going to do next month,
The Oscars
in the month of April.
April.
And not just the Oscars, but there are some more films coming out that I think people should kind of get excited
Yeah,
for.
little preview.
Mm-hmm.
Little preview.
But first, yeah, the Oscar nominees.
And the nominees for Best Picture are, I'll just get all of them. Sound of Metal,
Mhm.
which is kind of exciting. It's about a metal drummer.
Yes, it's been on Amazon. Well, it's an Amazon original.
Mhm.
So if you haven't seen it, go seeing it now because it's really good.
Yeah, I was kind of bit curious why it was this year because it originally got released in 2019, but that was festivals only. So if anyone's confused by that, and under the year it has 2019, why it's getting awards now, that's why.
Yeah.
Because that can confuse people. It confuses me. Mank, which
Oh.
this is the Hollywood movie. Let's be honest. This is the Hollywood decision.
This is just like The Artist all over again.
Yeah, but it's not going to
Um,
win.
No, it won't. It shouldn't.
Mhm.
I know. I don't want to make anyone feel bad about that, but it shouldn't win. There's better films in this
It
category.
might actually be Fincher's worst movie.
I think so. I think so.
I'd love Fincher. I
Yeah.
think his not so good films in the past have been some of my favorite films. So I love Zodiac. I love The Game.
The way he leads audiences with the camera,
Yeah.
visually is fantastic. I love it. But yeah, Mank, I'm not a big fan.
Minari.
Yes,
Yes. This is probably flying a bit in
under the radar.
under the radar, but it's also because of Parasite. Maybe it got nominated.
Yeah, ish. I mean, it's so difficult because the cinemas here are being difficult.
Mhm.
A lot of these films, like Minari especially, it was in Australia for about a week.
Oh, so
and then no longer in cinemas. And
It's
now they're
weird. Different
hoping-
cinemas have picked it up
Yeah.
at different times as well, so it's never been
It's-
consistent.
Yeah, it's not consistent. So it's hard to get a viewing here in Australia,
Uh-huh.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
But we will persevere.
Yeah, we will find it
We will
eventually.
find it. and
Even
we
takes
will
us a
talk
whole
about it.
year because sometimes they do.
Mm.
Yeah. Promising Young Woman, which might actually be my favorite film on the list that I've seen. There are movies on the I'm not going to say it's the one that deserves to win,
Yeah.
but looking
I
back,
love Promising Young Woman. It's a fantastic film.
Yeah.
It's a great film.
it's
yeah.
funny.
What else is on the list?
The Father,
Yep.
which we will get to watching soon. In fact, it's one of our recommendations to see as soon as possible.
Yes, it is.
On the April list. Judas and the Black Messiah. Once again, this was Brian Coogler, and it's hard to find weirdly because
Mm.
it had 10:30 viewings only.
Yeah, yeah.
I was
So
intending to
stupid.
watch it, and then I got literally called into work instead. So
yeah.
otherwise, I'd have seen this film already.
Mm.
A film that is easy to see though is Trial of the Chicago 7. This is on Netflix,
Yes. Yeah. Very good film as well.
directed by Aaron Sorkin. And then there's Nomadland.
Oren's.
Aaron Sorkin. I said it right. You just misheard. I swear.
Uh-huh. And yes, Nomadland, which in my opinion, I think is my favorite to win.
Okay. I haven't seen Sound of Metal or The Father, but I don't think The Sound of Metal's in there. I will not make any claims until I've seen The Father, but
yeah.
it's like Nomadland and Promising Young Woman are both fantastic films, and until I see the others, there would be my the Trial of the Chicago 7 is really good,
Yeah.
but
I don't think it's going to
no, it's not. It's not. It doesn't come close in my head to Nomadland or Promising Young Woman. But
Yeah.
once again, I think Nomadland's more likely than Promising Young Woman.
Yeah.
If Mank wins, there will be hell to pay.
It's just Green Book all over again.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so that's Best Pictures. Any other nominations you want to go through?
Best actor. I'm gonna
Best actor in a leading role. All right. Well, we got Riz Ahmed for Sound of Metal.
Yep.
Chadwick Boseman
Mhm.
for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Anthony Hopkins for The Father. Gary Oldman for Mank, and Stephen Ewan for Minari.
Is this
Ewan,
just
sorry.
Chadwick Boseman getting it?
I think if he doesn't get it, I think I think it's going to be very disappointing because I mean
Mhm.
this is literally his last chance to
Yeah.
get it.
And also, he deserves it.
And yeah, he does.
Mhm.
He had a fantastic performance in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, and I'm very confident that Stephen Yeun will get nominated again in future,
Yeah.
just because he's got so much work now.
Mhm.
Not just because he's been nominated, but because he is a fantastic actor. Riz Ahmed is
Well,
also, I
he's
reckon,
great, but
he's going to be in the
Yeah.
conversation for Best Actor in the future as well. And we all know what kind of actors Anthony Hopkins and Gary Oldman are.
Yeah, they both won before, so-
yeah, they've won before, and they're both staples in the film industry.
I will
that
say
can't
this:
be ignored.
once we've seen The Father, that's the only thing I think that can get to Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah,
But yeah, I assume
Chadwick
it should be
Boseman's
him.
a lock for this.
It should be, yeah.
Actress in a leading role.
Andra Day for The US versus Billie Holiday.
Mhm.
I love Billie Holiday's music, by the way. It's kind of a strange thing for me. Vanessa Kirby for Pieces of a Woman.
Yep.
Carey Mulligan for Promising Young Woman. Viola Davis for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. And Frances McDormand for Nomadland. If Frances McDormand doesn't win this, I think it's criminal, to be honest.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think Carey Mulligan was fantastic in Promising Young Woman.
Yes.
I think Viola Davis is great in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Vanessa Kirby is one of the best parts of Pieces of Woman, but
She is the best. She
Yeah.
is the only best part about Pieces of a Woman. Well,
Uh,
not the only. I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. But like
yeah,
her performance in that film just elevates everything else.
yeah. But
Um,
Nomadland is Frances McDormand.
Yeah,
It's her strength and it's her weakness and it's her performance. And if you don't love her after watching that movie, there's something wrong with you.
yeah.
She's so strong and so she can do
She
frailty
embodies
and
it, and
weakness
it's
and do it
just-
so strong.
Yeah, it's just a real. It's like watching a real person
yeah.
on screen.
It's a very well realized character.
It's hard to do for an actor.
It is
Any actor.
Yeah.
All right. Actress in a supporting role. We have Maria Bakalova for
Mhm.
the Borat subsequent movie film.
Yes.
I'm not going to say the whole name because it's very fucking long.
It's very hilariously long. And isn't it great? They actually have, in all the nominations for this movie, they have the full title, which is
Have
so
to say
funny.
The whole fucking thing.
Yeah.
That's going to be so good when they come to announcing. Glenn Close for Hillbilly Elegy.
Yep.
Olivia Colman for The Father. Amanda Seyfried for Mank. And Yu Young Yoon for Minari.
Yeah.
I
This one's hard.
I can't speak to Minari because we haven't seen
Yeah.
it yet. I can't speak to The Father because we haven't seen it yet. I think the person who is most likely to win this would be Olivia Colman.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Glenn Close is actually.
Hillbilly Elegy, or however you want to say it, elegy, I don't know. It's not a good movie.
No.
And I think that alone is going to bring Glenn Close's chances a little bit lower than Olivia
Also,
Colman.
Glenn Close is just she's sort of cursed. The fact that she went, Anyway, let's not get into that. But what?
Your microphone is low. Yeah, there
Oh,
you go. Now
okay.
I can hear you.
Okay. Technical difficulties were had.
I say that's actresses in a supporting role. Do we have any other?
The best supporting actor. So we got Paul Raci in Sound of Metal, which is incredible.
Yes.
Sacha Baron Cohen for The Trial of Chicago 7. Lakeith Stanfield for Judas and the Black Messiah. Leslie Odom Jr. for One Night in Miami, and Daniel Kaluuya for Judas and the Black Messiah.
Which is so stupid. Like one of these guys should have been best lead.
Yeah, it is very stupid.
They should have. Both of them can't be in a supporting role. But one of the most interesting things that I've seen is people are confused on like Twitter and stuff like that about who the lead is.
Yeah.
Which is so fucking good. I love that.
Yeah.
And I haven't even seen this movie yet, but by the sounds of it, it's a great film. And I love it when they do stuff like this where you can't actually tell who the lead is. Because that tells me that the film is more than just a performance. It's actually building a narrative. And it's saying something.
Possible to have two male leads in a film, believe it or not.
Yeah. But like to have both of them in a supporting role, I think you could have put one in.
Yeah, you could have. But to be fair, who would you pick out of this list?
Who would I pick? Sorry, Sacha Baron Cohen. I don't think you are in this conversation. I think it's.
This one's all over the place in terms of.
I think Paul Raci has a really decent shot. Just given from what I've heard, he's a really nice guy, and he knows so many people in Hollywood without actually having to be on that spotlight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's got friends in so many places because he's just a nice guy. Like he's just a really standout gent. So I think his personality outside of the film might actually influence people voting for him, which could make him the winner. But based on like the talent I know that is there, this is a race between Daniel Kaluuya and Lakeith Stanfield.
Which is hilarious, isn't it?
It is.
But this has happened before where it's been like it felt like a 2-horse race and they both knocked each other out.
Yeah.
And now this is the same movie.
Yeah.
So there is a bit of that. Yeah, I don't know. It could. So yeah, I think it was between those three: Paul Raci, Lakeith Stanfield, and Daniel Kaluuya.
And I love Leslie Odom Jr. in One Night in Miami. I think he's fantastic in that role.
He's going to get way more nominations as well.
He will. And also, everyone in One Night in Miami
was fantastic.
Okay. Like, all of them were on the same level, in my opinion. All of them. It's kind of like watching an orchestra play where, you've got different parts, but people are playing their best and they're bringing it all together.
Yeah.
That's what One Night in Miami is for me. I think everyone just did such a phenomenal part in their role that no one really edged each other out.
Yeah.
But given Leslie Odom Jr.'s pedigree in terms of what he's accomplished so far in his career, being nominated is the next logical step, I feel.
Yeah,
for him.
yeah. It's not surprising to see his name there.
No, it is not. He's a fantastic actor.
Okay, Best Director.
Best Director.
This is interesting because Thomas Vinterberg got nominated for Another Round. And I don't think, did that get...
Another Round did not get nominated for almost anything else, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe screenplay.
Maybe screenplay. And then Fincher got nominated for Mank. Chloe Zhao for Nomadland. Emerald Fennell for Promising Young Woman. And Lee Isaac Chung for Minari. This is tough. I'm going to cross out Vinterberg and Fincher straight away. But the other three, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know either. It's hard. It's very hard
because for Zhao's Nomadland and Fennell's Promising Woman both have this beautiful pacing to the movies where it embodies the main characters as well, and
I think
there's such personality in them.
I think Chloe Zhao's got it.
Yeah,
I think Chloe Zhao has it in the bag. Like, I love Emerald Fennell. Promising Young Woman, she did a fantastic job. Again, Minari, I can't speak to that. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. And I need to see Another Round. But yeah, I think out of all of them, Chloe Zhao, and I'm not just saying this because the film Nomadland is one of the best films to come out over the last 5 years. I think it is. However, Chloe Zhao's next project is with Marvel, and
There'll be a push.
I feel like the push for her to win Best Director
Mhm.
is also going to be a marketing choice,
Yeah.
which isn't a bad thing in this case, but
Mm.
it has happened before
It
where
has, yeah.
where the market, like somebody has been attached to something else, and that's been the reason why they've been nominated or like been pushed to get the nomination. So I think Chloe Zhao, not just for quality, but also because of all these other reasons, I think she's got it.
I don't want to get political, but also her winning with the current frame of certain movements in the States would be very good as well.
Yes, yeah.
Um,
And we're not complaining about this because I think
We
it is
ca-
actually a good thing
Yeah.
that politically she could win.
it's weird. It's weird. If we agree with it, it's fine, and
Yeah.
we believe on talent she deserves to win.
Yeah.
It's just the lining up of certain other things which we don't normally like influencing is
Yeah,
positive in this
yeah.
case because we
Yeah. Well, exactly. Like the way that this is done wrong, you can actually look to Green Book for this.
Yeah.
Because that got nominated and it won some awards for the wrong reasons. It was because the film Green Book was made by wasn't made by African Americans, and it was speaking to African American experiences. It was kind of seen as like a placation almost
Yeah.
by like white influence to be like, okay, we're gonna give you the limelight, but it's gonna still be our limelight. You know what I mean?
When we saw The Mule, there was a lot of that injected in that movie as well, even though that wasn't an Oscar movie.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of white apologetics involved in that film, and that's what I believe it was nominated for, and I don't agree with that. I hate that. However, Chloe Zhao being nominated does it the right way in that it brings light to the political issues, and it says, hey, you know what? It doesn't matter what your background is. You can still win these awards. You can still do really well. And that is a win, in my opinion, for that side of things. So that's directing. Shall we look at writing, adapted an original screenplay?
Yeah. Do we just want to quickly pick our winners for them? Because
Yeah, just go for it.
I think I'd like Promising Young Woman to win Best Original Screenplay.
Best original. Okay, so we've got Promising Young Woman, Best Original. I can see that. I think the only one that might come close with that would be Judas and the Black Messiah.
I mean, Aaron Sorkin is also always up there for writing awards, even.
Yeah, but I don't think
Yeah.
the Trial of Chicago 7 deserves it compared to the
No,
rest
no,
of them.
I
I
agree.
think Promising Young Woman will probably win that.
And then adapted screenplay.
Nomadland.
Yeah, it's just
Nomadland. Nomadland. There's not. I mean, there's other ones that are really good. The White Tiger apparently is really good. I think that's on Netflix. It's an Indian film.
Well, once
production.
again, it depends on how they see the writing as well,
Yeah.
because The Father might win it as well. They might see it as
It's
a better
true.
written film, because they might see
It's
the
true.
performances in Nomadland elevating it as opposed to the dialogue. I don't
Yeah.
know.
But
Even though-
also, I mean, you can say the same for The Father from what
Yeah.
I've seen. But yeah, I think Nomadland could be the big winner of the Academy Awards this year.
yeah, I
Uh,
hope so.
I think it does have. If it doesn't, I think it's also a good thing because we've got so much diversity in the nominations now
Yeah.
that anything aside from Mank,
Yeah, we don't-
anything will be good. A good win. But yeah, that's the Academy Awards for this year.
Yeah, I will recommend every animated movie that's on the list as well,
Oh yeah.
except maybe Onward. I mean, I do like Onward. I know, I don't know. Yeah, they're all good. There's
That's a lot of. That was an emotional roller coaster that you just took us on, Scotty.
yeah, it's one of those things where I think it's an okay movie.
Another segment we're going to do next month will be the actual releases of
Yes.
films, and we have a decent amount of films that are coming.
Mhm.
We have Skyfire. We've got Voyages. There's a lot of like science
Yeah,
fiction kind of stuff. Collective Ascendant, which is the Australian
dear.
film that's set inside of
I may be watching that. Let's just put it at that for a segment next month.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that. There's also some documentaries coming out. There's also a horror film called The Unholy, which looks like it could be fun-ish.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see how we go with that. We've got Creation Stories, which I'm not sure about. Then there's the Dracula Cult, which is made by an Australian-New Zealand production, which looks interesting. It's a reimagining of the Dracula story set in today's era, which could be cool. The director behind it's done some pretty good work overseas in the US
Okay.
and stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to it
I
if
hope
we
it-
ever get a release here.
The thing is, I just think of what they do in the shadows when you say that sort of
Yeah,
thing. And it's
yeah.
just, anyway,
Then there's Luna 7, Land, Every Breath You Take, which sounds so stalkery. The Dissident, Moonrock for Monday. This is Port Adelaide, which is a documentary set around Port Adelaide.
Oh, funny that.
Yeah. A Beautiful Request. Wrath of Man, which
yeah.
is an action film that's coming out at the near to the end of this month. First Cow, which is a film that came out last
Yeah, I
year,
was
but we're
gonna say.
finally getting a release here. The Devil Has a Name,
Mhm.
and also we also have Mortal Kombat.
Yes, which is, yeah, we're looking forward to seeing that. One thing that's not on the list because it just came out is Nobody,
Nobody, yes,
which we'll also talk about.
yeah.
directed
made by the guys who did
John Wick.
John Wick. It kind of looks like a John Wick clone, but I'm happy to see it. Like, it looks fun.
There's nothing wrong with the John Wick
No,
clone.
no.
I think it'll be different in terms of there's a chapter-esque sense to John Wick's
Yeah,
films, whereas I
yeah.
think this is going to be self-contained.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So yeah, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
That is that's our month.
Mhm.
For now, Scotty, you got something to kick to
Oh, yes,
finish
the
this off
trivia.
on. Yeah,
So,
the answers.
the
Give us
answers.
the answers.
So the big
Give us
five
the
awards
answers.
of the Oscars are Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Director, and Best Writer, which is now split into two. But
Yeah,
that's so the big five would become a big six.
that was the big five.
The only movie to win just 10 Academy Awards is West Side Story, so that
Mhm.
makes it the fourth most winningest.
Winningest.
And the only sequel to a Best Picture winner to also win is The Godfather. Godfather 1 and Godfather 2 both won Best Picture. And Spielberg's Color Purple and Herbert Ross's The Turning Point, unfortunately, both got 10 nominations at the Oscars and didn't win a single one.
Yikes.
Yep.
That sucks.
That's 11
That's literally worst case scenario being nominated
yeah.
is not winning any.
How many was Mank nominated for?
I don't know actually.
I wonder how many it's going to lose.
Hopefully, all of them.
Yeah. That's our thoughts on the Academy Awards.
Yeah, so that's us, guys. If you want to follow us, make sure you follow us on Facebook, and we got a Twitter account and Instagram, all that stuff. If you got any feedback you want to give us,
If you think someone's going to win the Academy Awards and we didn't talk about them,
send
please.
us your picks for the Academy Awards. We
We
want to
didn't
hear what
talk
they
about
are.
all of them because we don't want to embarrass ourselves too much. But
No,
yeah, I mean, there are some that I'm invested in just as much, like the animated movies. One that always,
Yeah.
speaks to me personally.
if you're a betting person, and I'm not recommending anyone bet, but if you are, and you've got picks for who you want to win the Academy Awards, let us know because
Yeah.
we're going to talk about that too.
Yeah. It's
but-
worth betting on. I think this is something fun to bet on. I don't like gambling in general. I'm actually quite pro anti-gambling. Well,
You're anti-gambling.
I'm
is what you are.
anti-gambling, yeah, but I'm
Pro anti-gambling.
Yeah. Yes, I'm pro anti-gambling. Stick with it.
Oh, imagine all the people
Double
that are
negative.
like picketing stuff right now,
Yeah.
like the feminists picketing our politicians right now. They're just like, I'm pro anti-government.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same sort of thing.
That's good. I like it. But yeah, so let us know. Send us messages and what you think. We really want to know.
And if you wanted to give us any
what's
feedback on our
inside of
segments
your
and
brains.
stuff,
Yes.
please let us know that
yes,
as
yes,
well.
yes.
If there's something you specifically want us to talk about, we'd love to hear that too. And in fact, any conversation with you guys.
We're very lonely.
We'd like some,
Scotty
I'd
especially.
like some hugs in the form of comments.
Yeah, he wants people to talk to him.
If you just want to send an email with hug written on it, I'd appreciate that. Spam them in. Okay, we've been the Film Roast Podcast.
We have. I've been Jogs,
And I remain Scotty.
and we will see you next month.
Hugs all around.
See ya.
It's time for a film roast.